The way the advertisement companies make money, they look at a girl's weak point, and they do it to men too. There's a psychology game behind all of this, but it's so easy to see through.
Hardworking, driven, ambitious.
Founder of EvolveNation.
Heba Ali.
People think it's a surprise. Like, oh my God, you're so successful. Oh, is it because you're beautiful? Or is it because you worked hard hours? Or maybe it's because I actually didn't do what everyone was doing. Everyone could say, these are my values, but how are you showing up in the world?
That is the art of the consistency, which is required to actually stick to a plan and get the results you want.
Absolutely. If you are always authentic, there's always an audience. The persona is the social masks we put on, but behind that is the shadow of like who you really are. I was a very intense athlete because I know my audience wants this. I'm going to do that. And it came to a point where I was like, yo, I'm so tired of the cameras.
Have you noticed that by pulling yourself away, everything has still been okay with the businesses?
What I've realized, and I think this is really important for business, is
what's up, guys, and welcome back to First Things First. We have a special guest today. Couldn't come to New York and not get in touch with Heba Ali. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. The last time we spoke, we were freezing ourselves in an ice bath and do some yoga.
I was literally going to say that on my way here. I was like, wow, I can't believe it's been 3 years.
Mhm.
And the last time, and I think that was the first time I ever met you.
Yeah.
Like face to face. And we were in the ice tub. And to be quite honest with you, like that talk was so good. I remember I really liked it. It was like a natural flow to it.
Mhm.
And people still DM me like, I love that talk. So it forces me to go back to the video and click on it. I'm like, I wonder what was so interesting about it. So hopefully we have some insight.
Do you know what that was before the podcast started?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of gave me the idea to do it. I mean, I kind of been thinking about doing it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But that video, when we were just sat there and we were talking, usually I try and compress a YouTube video down to, because for the vlogs, it's more like maximum engagement, like changing the scenes and things like that. And I was like, hang on, this is too good to cut down. Like, let me just leave it as it is. And then after we put it out, I was like, I need to do more of this, but like a different kind of format. And that's when the podcast channel pretty much started after that.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that, like, I remember when I was going into like my podcast, right, which was an on and off like journey. I was so stuck with if I wanted like the seated aspect of it, or if I wanted to do like the traveling podcast. But I mean, there's way more like factors into keeping that going. But I think there's something about a very unfiltered flow talk that makes people feel like they're really sitting there with you.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? And I think you were doing yoga with us at one point.
I was attempting
To
do yoga. And yeah, still struggle to do yoga.
Well, I still struggle with my podcast. You know, it's interesting. I think life will, I mean, you can't have it all, right?
No.
I mean, I think over time in life, you can get good at many things to where you feel like, you know, I feel like I've gotten it all. But like this concept of you're going to be the fittest, you're going to have all your businesses running well, you're going to have a great social life, you're going to have a great relationship with yourself. Like you're never going to grasp all of those things at the same time, especially if you're young. Like you have to go through phases where things have become implicit, meaning like it's subconsciously done, like implicit memory. I don't have to think about it. I do it. Like I don't have to think about walking. I know how to walk. Hopefully. I know how to, in the shower, I just know how to shower. When you drive, you know how to drive. Same with you. Like when it comes to working out and even with the podcast, things become so subconsciously memorized that you don't have to like think about how am I doing this? And so when you do that enough in each avenue in your life, then you could perhaps have a good grip on multiple aspects, but certainly not from the get. And I don't think it's ever perfect, right? Like why are we even here on earth? It's never to be like a Disney experience of just having fun, right? Like that's not life.
What are you doing now then that's taking up most of your time? Because you said you wanted to do a couple of different things. What are the main things that you're focusing on now?
I think my time offline.
Looking after the children, aka 2 little cats.
Yeah, my cats are my babies, honestly. And to whoever doesn't like cats, we can't be friends. We just can't. But I think a lot of my time has been, honestly, I didn't say I'm going to do this, right? It was just this intuitive thing of like, things don't feel right. You know, I feel like I'm losing a grip of myself. Like it's fine with work, like stuff happens and you learn to like problem solve. But when I felt like I was losing a grip of myself, my joy, and that's like really not me. I'm not a depressed person. I stepped back just to get like clearer. I needed clarity. I needed to cut out the noise. And so I didn't have a roadmap of exactly what was I going to be doing, but I knew that I was going to be focusing more on myself, like my career, for a lot of times has felt like, oh, I'm giving back to myself because it's fulfilling, because it's my purpose. But I think there's a deeper level to showing up for yourself and mental health. And that was something that I was not doing. I was contradicting myself in terms of working too much, setting my work goals, putting my community above myself. And I think there comes a period where you need to step back and, rediscover who you are even. So I don't think it's about creating a new version of me, but I've found so many interests in myself, like going back to history, going back into political science, like in some way, like I've just put myself back into college. Like I've just gone back to studying. And I think that was the missing part for me. Like when I stopped studying, when I stopped exploring my knowledge and many other subjects, it made me more linear. And
when was this?
What was that?
When was this period of time where you just kind of stopped doing that?
So I'm going to take you guys on a roller coaster ride with me. Okay. So this is the honest truth, because we glamorize entrepreneurship. We glamorize the people who don't have a 9-to-5, and whoever has a 9-to-5, we kind of treat them like human garbage. Like, oh, you're doing that. And I think there's a flip side to it, right? We can look at all the benefits of entrepreneurship and having your own business. And I absolutely encourage people, if you have that quality, if you have that mindset, and I think it's inborn, but you have to act on it. But I did that. I mean, for some context, I started working at 13 because I wanted to. I have divorced parents. I think that played a role in like making me ultra independent and not wanting to burden my mom with even more expenses because I was one of 6. So I think that's what got me going. I had a great mom as a role model. My brothers worked hard too from a young age. So I started working at 13. Then I started working at 17.
What were you doing at 13?
I was working at a pizza. I was making pizza.
Oh, okay.
Like I was not just a counter girl. Like I did everything. I'm not even trying to be like conceited. I have noticed a lot of amazing things about myself just by reflecting on who I was. And I think we should all do that. If you want to know yourself, really go back to your childhood, really go back to your natural inclinations. Like, what was I just naturally doing? Ask your parents. I always ask my mom, like, how was I when I was between like 6 and 9 and 10? You'll know a lot about yourself. So I noticed that I was always overachieving. Like I had a lot of conscientiousness. I didn't just work there for the $7 an hour. I worked there and I wanted to be exceptional at working there. So I always, I was the counter girl. I was the waitress. I was making the pizza. I was helping out in the kitchen, all for $7 an hour. Why did I not just clock in and clock out?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's an important thing.
And where was this?
This was in Wayne, New Jersey.
Okay.
Right. Then I ended up, I always lied about my age, by the way. Like you couldn't get employed at 13. So I said I was 16. And then...
Naughty.
Maybe at your own discretion, you can do illegal activities. So then I ended up managing a pizzeria. This was at a Wise Guys pizzeria in Clifton, New Jersey. I worked there for 2 years and I felt family there. I ended up like managing that place. That's where I started making pizza. Do you want to know how I got the job there? Okay. So my friend Noura, she was subbing out and she asked me to substitute for her. I was like, I didn't even know you could substitute a job position like that. Like I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
You have to know the systems, the operations. But I was like, sure, I'll substitute for you. It seemed like an emergency. So it was a Friday night. I rolled up to Wise Guys. The owner's name was Rocco. Hi, Rocco. He always tells me the story. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, they're getting slammed in here. Like they really need the help. Like now I know why she asked me to sub. So
you were so busy.
Yeah. And I was sitting there like they ignored me. Like nobody was, I was like, why aren't they talking to me? Like I'm here to substitute for this girl. So I ended up going like, excuse me, do you guys need some help? He's like, I'm sorry, we can't interview you right now. Yeah. I'm like, who's interviewing me? Like I didn't come here for a job. He goes, oh, I'm like, I'm here to substitute for Noura. You guys need some help? He's like,
so you're going to do it for free?
Yeah, I was like, I'm coming to help you guys. Yeah. So he's like, do you guys need some help? He's like, what do you know how to do? I'm like, just about everything. He's like, can you make pizza? I'm like, I can do anything. So I get behind there and I'm like I'm picking up the phone.
A little bit of a lie that.
Yeah, like I was doing it all. And at the end of the day, he goes, you're hired.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. Like I just got hired that day, but I wasn't going for the job.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really interesting to me because I started managing from a very young age and it wasn't any set goal. These were just like qualities. And, when people say having work ethic and being a conscientious person isn't rewarded, I really think that when people see that in you, the opportunities are always there and you're the opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Like they're going to want you on their team. And so I finished, I had to stop working there because I got into sports. And then once I put my mind to something, and this is something to take note of, if you want to do something in the beginning and you don't know it, right? It's really all or nothing. And at my age, I was not good at sports. I was not allowed to do sports, actually. I was raised very conservatively. So I joined track late in junior year, and I had a lot to prove to myself, I think. So within 2 seasons, I ended up like competing at nationals. I was a beast, and this is like the same girl who was coming in last place, the same girl the coaches didn't really pay attention to. I didn't take it personal. Like I didn't go home and cry. Like I had a lot of anger, but I was just, like the type of anger that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna like actually get really good.
Mhm.
And maybe there's a bit of like environmental influence and like I want to prove to them too, because there was one of my coaches, Coach Cialetti, who he was the one who actually pulled me on the team. He's like, you're going to be a sick 800-meter runner. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like I want to throw javelins.
800 meters brutal as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse actually, 800 or 400.
800.
Yeah.
Ask anybody. Ask anybody. I mean, at an Olympic level, 400 meters, every race is hard. Like you're going against time. To
Yeah.
shed a second becomes really hard. So like I think the shorter the meters, the more difficult it is. Like shedding a millisecond on 100 requires so much work. But I think,
Why did he decide 800 is for you?
well, he just knew that I was like a lion, like because he was my gym teacher. So he always saw me and like I guess he observed my way in activities in gym classes. Like he always used to say like you're like a lion that's caged and you need to know when to come out.
Mhm.
Because I was always very like strong. Like now I'm tamed. Like now I'm very chill. But when I was younger, I was not. Like everybody could see that. Like I was always 150 miles an hour.
You're a Leo as well, aren't you?
Yeah. Leos rule the world. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
do.
So basically, I don't want to spend too much time in that story, but I think it's important because everyone in their life will have to prove something to themselves or other people, and that's okay, right? Like it's fine to have that external motivation. The intrinsic was more for me, but the extrinsic motivation was definitely there. Once I proved that to myself, confidence happened, right? I wasn't always a confident kid. I was ambitious but not confident. So when people talk about confidence, I think confidence gets you way further in life than intelligence. Like you need to be able to like move a room, talk to people, network. Confidence is a huge thing that you don't just pick up from reading a book. Like you don't pick it up from going to a lecture. It's the actions and mostly the courageous actions. Like how much are you willing, uncomfortable situations and, odds against you situations are you willing to overcome? Because that's where my confidence came from.
Yeah.
And each time I was just like, oh, wow, like I've really trained myself in 2 seasons. What else can I do? And then I went into personal training. Again, lied about my age and got a personal training job at 17. And so within a year, I earned the title of the best personal trainer across the USA for that corporation. I was like, wow, I'm like really exceptional at what I do. Like and my issue wasn't working for the corporation up until they weren't giving me the tools I needed to make my clients better, right? So it was the type of corporation that didn't have kettlebells, didn't have like the functional necessities for those athletes, especially because I was training men too. So once they were giving me an issue with that, like promises, we're going to bring you this, that, I'm like, well, you're limiting me and my skill set. So I can't be here. So I ended up resigning and leaving. And then I opened up EvolveNation, which again had no blueprint. I think people think to have a business, you need to jot down like Einstein, get in an office, lock yourself up. What is my plan? Like, each business model is a bit different, but I think if there's a natural inclination, and I'm always going to go back to natural inclination, like this is something you're drawn to, you're not putting so much effort into it. The business model will eventually roll out for itself, but you just need to focus on that passion, I guess, because the passion drives you, right? Like some people need to find motivation to go to work because they're not passionate about their work. But if you have that, like run with it, like run with that inclination. And so that's how EvolveNation started.
What did it stand for? What did you want it to stand for?
So EvolveNation, I got the name with my older brother, Amar. We were sitting in the basement and I was just talking to him, like bouncing ideas. And he's like, what do you want to call it? And I'm like, I think Evolve, but I can't call it Evolve Fitness because I'm not just going to be fitness. And it's crazy. I knew this from like 16, 17. Like I knew my brand wasn't just a fitness brand and I loved fitness. Like I trained 3 times a day. I run to practice. Like I was living, breathing fitness. I was like, no, it's going to be more than fitness. Like life is more than that. So he goes, Nation. I'm like, EvolveNation. Okay. So like we both looked at each other. I'm like, that's it. Because it stood on just growth. It stood on curiosity. It stood on exploring the unknown, which is what I did, which brought me to where I am. Like nothing in which in my life was absolutely, choreographed. I'm going to do this by this. It was very much just me going out of curiosity and listening to those inclinations and myself and going against what was societally acceptable for me, right? Like being an Arab woman, those came with its own set of challenges. Like you can't be in this male dominant field. You can't do this. You should be more dainty and dilty and all this stuff, which I understand now at the emotional maturity that I'm at. But I certainly had my way of going. And so going back to, I have a very divergent way of thinking, by the way. That means I have many multiple perspectives. And sometimes I go into so many perspectives that I miss the first perspective. So that's where EvolveNation came from. And it stood on the curiosity, the exploring the unknown. And I think I've done a very good job at doing that, but there's a lot more growth to happen in terms of reaching its full potential, because it's gone from fitness. And even when I went on social media, like I think why my brand glue. My brand glue. Well, it did. It glue. It was very shiny.
Everybody was glued to it.
Yeah. No. So I think the reason why my brand grew was because I pointed out something that was an issue. There was a lot of the teas. There was a lot of the booty programs. There was a lot of the very much vain training and advertisements on social media. And I had an issue with that because when I was 16, 17, trying to train myself, mostly males were my models. Like I would look up to male training. And I think that's where I got a lot of my alpha traits, because the women weren't really motivating me. Like, what are you teaching me in terms of sports and performance? Because I mean, I'm different too. Like growing up, you're beautiful, you're this and that, but I didn't conceptualize beauty. Like I never looked at myself like I'm gorgeous. Like I've always been very much focused on the characteristics. And if I had a goal, I needed to get there. And men were just doing a lot more of that training online. I think I followed a lot of CrossFit coaches, and I was really looking to be dynamic, to be mobile, like I'm gonna be fast and strong.
You are a living, breathing hybrid athlete.
Yeah, I was at the time.
Yeah.
I can't hold the title now, but if I wanted to, I could do it.
Yeah, I kind of gave it a little bit of an attempt in January, where I don't know if you saw, I was doing some running, a couple of 5Ks here and there.
I saw that.
And it's definitely, I mean, that's what being an athlete is about, for sure. I pretty much love just being in the gym and lifting weights.
Yeah.
But I knew that my cardio was suffering because I wasn't doing anything to train the cardiovascular system.
Not even like high reps, like short breaks?
No, because that's not optimal for maximizing size.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was doing it, still doing a little bit here and there, but it definitely, it's what was kind of lacking at the time. I don't feel like many people were doing it back then when I started seeing your stuff. Like when I would see your reels or your posts, I was like, fuck, savage.
Yeah. That's interesting because like I debate with myself all the time. And I think that's the benefit of being a bit offline and choosing to spend more of your time reflecting and introspecting is like, I sometimes debate, like, I don't know. I'm really impressed with that version of me. Like, is she more impressive than who I am today? Like, I have these debates, but I'm like, you can't really say that. And these are the conversations I have with myself. I'm like, first of all, I think she's more impressive.
Are you talking about the athlete? Or are you talking about the social media figure?
Oh, I never really cared about the social media figure, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's irrelevant to me. Like, like the social media figure in terms of like following and like recognition, and that never really did anything for me. I think I'm speaking more about the, I mean, we're always athletes at heart. You know what I mean? Like, that's the.
I don't know about if everyone's an athlete at heart. Some people probably not.
I'm talking about. You better hope this is reaching the right audience. So, I think that I'm always going to be an athlete at heart, but I'm talking about, maybe that type of athlete, that hybrid of an athlete, but that version of me that was so hungry to prove something, that version of me that was so steadfast and like wanting to know my qualities. Who am I? Like in that age, I had a lot to prove to myself. I think as you get older, you have less to prove to yourself and the other world, the world around you. And so I think that's where I'm reaching now.
You could say that you evolved
I've evolved, definitely. So that's why I can't say this is not better than the version of me back then. But I will say I was way more impressed. Like when people come up to me like, but you're so impressive, the way you run, the way you this. I'm like, I'm more impressed by the 15-year-old version of me that decided instead of hanging out like normal teenagers, I'm gonna go run 5 miles to practice and back.
Mhm.
And I'm also gonna walk 3 miles to work because I didn't have a car. And I'm gonna do double training, all based off of the idea that I have something to prove to myself, which is just an idea. And or even to others, like I'm going to prove my strength, I'm going to prove my discipline. I'm more impressed with that,
Yeah.
right? Because as you get older, you start to realize that if you're not a disciplined person, that's an issue. Like you can't even raise kids. Like you start to realize there's a pressure to do certain things. But at 15, like that's why I'm so impressed with who I was, because it was abnormal. I was abnormal. My training was abnormal. And I think the main message of what I did wasn't, hey, ladies, look at what I'm doing. Be buff, be jacked, be strong, be better than men. That was never the message. It was always, your limits are so beyond what you think.
Yeah.
Like, and if you, a lot of people couldn't even imagine that a girl my size was pulling the trucks and doing the things I was doing. And to me, it wasn't, I'm better than men. It was always about, you didn't think I could do that. Like there's so much limits that we put on ourselves. And to me, it's to the women in particular, don't stay in the vain world.
Mhm.
Like go tap into your inner potential. Like you're going to be a lot happier there. Criticize your character, criticize your inner critic. Like don't be so focused on the outside. Like women want to feel beautiful, but if you get lost in that world of beauty, you're done for.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to be insecure and miserable your whole life.
Yeah. 50 Cent said, if beauty is your biggest asset, then you're going to do some hoe shit.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That one made me laugh.
That's a good one.
Do you think it's changing? I mean, now I imagine you're probably not spending as much time on social media, but do you think the world is changing, particularly when it comes to women and their approach to training and social media? Do you see more people like you coming onto the scene, or is it still quite a
They're
vain
definitely.
world of
I mean,
booties and
yeah. I mean,
all sorts
they're
of
there, right? Unfortunately, they're all in our faces. Like
yeah,
that's a whole nother topic, but um,
we'll get onto that.
we'll get onto it. So there definitely is, right? And I think that when I got on, there was like this huge necessity to be there to send out a message. But I see that there's a lot of modest athletes. There's a lot of real athletes who are exposing the apps that are body photoshopping, meaning like the before and afters. There's the girls going online, like embrace your skin, embrace the natural texture and all of that. So there's definitely more. Am I going to say it's combating the other amount? Like, probably absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if we look at conformity in social studies and experiments, like people conform based on their environment and what's socially acceptable. So studies that once were done in a room, like we're in a room, let's say of 10 people, and now there's a controlled group and all the control group are like hired, right? Like let's say it's you and I. You have no idea that anyone is hired, but I know that the 10 people in this room are hired. And now we're looking at a graph and they say, which option is correct? Like, do you walk in a straight line or do you walk in like a squiggly line, or which? They just give you an example. You implicitly know the right answer, explicitly even know the right answer, but you see all the other 9 people picking answer B. So you end up picking answer B. And they've done these studies over and over again. Like the elevator study is even the funniest one
Mm.
because everyone gets in the elevator and just turns the opposite way of the door opening. So you'll see the person who's coming in that's not part of the control group, and they end up turning around, like just facing the direction that everyone's facing. It's hilarious. And so it shows you that conformity on ground is very much real. So now if we take conformity, the concept of it, and we take it to social media, where our online communities have become our environment, right? We can now decide what's socially acceptable.
Mhm.
And that's an issue because we're conforming to a lot of behaviors that are not and should not be normalized. We are adopting a lot of beliefs and a lot of things that are just, again, cluttering the mind. If I'm telling you, somebody who's majored in psychology, somebody who's built 2 businesses, somebody who's always had a very good head on their shoulders, I'd like to think, not perfect, but I was always very conscious of my actions. I still had an issue with social media. Like it was still messing up my focus. It was still contaminating my brain. Like I saw my beliefs changing. I saw like my thoughts going in a direction. I'm like, wait, that's not even me. Like, why am I thinking like that? You
This was
know?
when what you were seeing other posts? Like, in what way was it affecting you?
Okay, I'm gonna dive into that, but remember how I told you I was a divergent thinker? So I never got to finish your first question, which was, when did that start?
Okay.
So why I got off of social media. So I took it back to giving you context of where I came from, in terms of like work and stuff. In 2022, after I've traveled the world, done all the events, all that stuff, I opened up EVLV Gear, my clothing brand, which we're going to talk about. I overworked myself by choice, and my autoimmune system was not having it. So I started to break down. Like I couldn't hold food anymore. I had like 3 months of just being sick. And people were like, damn, you're so lean, Heba. I'm like, I'm not lean, I'm sick. Like,
it's funny how some of the people who are actually like in
Yeah.
craziest condition
yeah,
or super lean are the ones that are mentally
yeah.
not okay.
Yeah, and I had an issue that I couldn't see, and that's that I was working way too much. I was
Predominantly on the clothing, or like trying to do
I
everything?
would say a mix of both, but that's when the clothing demanded the most effort from me. But I'm gonna go back into that because if you take me there, the first question's not gonna get answered.
Yes.
So, so that's when it started going down in 2022. I came back from Dubai, the Dubai Expo. After I came home from that day, I like had this massive like red flame on my head, and I'm like, oh no, big deal. It was from the hair salon. Then I ended up getting alopecia, and like alopecia spread so far into my head, like nobody even knows because I never really cared to talk about the personal issues I've gone through in my life. But that autoimmune disorder like was the start of why I moved to Dubai. Like I had an issue with work. My apartment was my workspace. I've never separated anything. And when I was living in that apartment, there's a guy named Mike actually and his father who's a retired pharmacist who took good care of me. Like they actually helped me a lot because like you need help. Like you need to have like a social life. I never had a social life like that. Like I never even saw family.
How many hours were you not sleeping as well?
I think I was pretty good with my sleep, right? Like I was healthy in many ways, but
Is it just like
I think
a
my
constant
brain, like my
mental
brain didn't.
stress?
Yeah, like listen, when I was working on EVLV, I was sacrificing a lot of sleep because there was hours where the manufacturers were awake, where it was
Yeah, I know what clothing's like. It's a lot.
Yeah, so there was those phases where I definitely wasn't sleeping the proper hours, but I lived a healthy life. The unhealthy part was my own strength. Like your strength serves as a weakness if it's not tamed or controlled. And so I should have created boundaries between my professional and personal life, but where I lived was literally a professional setting. There was no TV. There was no friends coming over. I think my family saw my apartment once. Like that's the life I lived. So I said I have to leave. So I went to Dubai. I started seeing a lot more like health holistic coaches. Like that's how I even got introduced to what's her name?
Fontaine? Laura?
Yeah, Laura,
Oh, yeah.
Laura. And she introduced me to a lot of people. I went into cold therapy. I went into energy healing. I had more access to resources and
Something
doctors.
spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual, but I think it was more about calming the mind,
Yeah.
right? Like we all have issues. There's absolutely nobody that's perfect. Like even the most toughest person who has the discipline, who has the money, we all lack in an area.
I'll tell you, that's one funny thing I've learned from doing this podcast. Everybody has their own.
We all have our problem.
Even like we idolize some of these people and think, oh my God, like they're so perfect, they're doing everything so well. And then you meet them and you get to know them and they're just literally just a normal person struggling with the same stuff that you're struggling with.
So remind me to also go back to that point because I want to talk about Hollywood and celebrities and that point exactly. But so yeah, 2022 went to Dubai, and even through the midst of that, I was still working on EVLV gear, still launching collections. I'm like, damn, like I really have a problem. Like I really can't stop. But it was a better environment for me. It was significantly better because my team wasn't even with me. So there was a limit to how much I could get done. But I got healthier. I healed, and I actually worked with Bionic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shout out to Bionic. They were really sweet. The woman was really nice. They did
you get the blood work?
I did.
Yeah,
I did the customized supplements. I mean, we lost touch because I moved back to America, but it was amazing. It was amazing.
Do they still operate in America?
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh,
They just branched out to America. Now they've added an extra 33% additional ingredients to the supplement.
Oh yeah, I'll have to get back in touch with them because that customized supplement was a game changer.
Yeah.
Like I took vitamin D without knowing how much vitamin D I needed, and I was so groggy and I was so tired because that's what vitamin D does. Like if you don't take the right dose. And I love the food sensitivity test that I did, and I think everyone needs to do that.
Yeah.
Like before you get a coach online, before you go into like this hard, intense training, you need to get your blood work done. You need to know where you're deficient, and you need to know because once you can like knock out those factors, then you can say, okay, well, my energy levels aren't because of my vitamins. Like I've done the blood work, I'm taking the vitamins and have been for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can knock out other factors. Is it my sleep? Is it my screen time? Like you could start, and this is the lifelong journey. You're not doing this all overnight. But I think if you're at least in your mid 20s, you should 100% do your blood work. And if you're over that, 1000%, because you need to know your body more than anything.
Yeah, there's
Like,
no point in just guessing and randomly taking supplements. 'Cause
Yeah.
there is a downside to over consuming a supplement which you don't need.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I had resources, Bionic being one of them, and just a lot of things that I did. But initially, I started the journey from healing within, right? Trying to do the inner work of like calming down my mind, saying like you don't have to always work, but then you have an identity crisis because
You're known for working.
yeah, like literally, like within yourself, it's so hard. And then anyway, I came back to the US and something was just not right. You know, like I went right back into working hard, like right back into it.
But why did you want to go back to the US? Did you miss it?
No, the society in Dubai wasn't working for me.
Mm.
I think in particular is where I was in Blue Waters. Listen, I'm a very not that people aren't real in Dubai. I like luxury. I have a taste for luxury, but I don't need it blinging in my face 24/7.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think I get asked about that a lot. And you have to choose where you're going to hang out, who you're going to spend time with. And I've noticed just avoiding certain areas, like there's certain regions like DIFC where all the restaurants
Yeah.
are. You're going to see a certain type of people. They'll have a certain type of vibe, and that's not really me. Same thing with going to the bars and the clubs. Like it's extremely active, and it is a very good nightlife scene out there, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
Like I prefer to wake up earlier and just hang out with the people who are doing similar things to what I'm doing.
Yeah. Or doing things that you wish to, mold or into. And I think for me, it's conformity happens. Like whether you like it or not, you're going to conform to your social structures or whatever has become normalized.
So you started rocking the Hermes bags and driving
No,
the
definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, look, I got my dream car without even wanting a dream car. I've gotten like a lot of the things in my life that I think I even dreamed of once, but I was never driven by those things. Like I'm being so honest. Like if I wanted to, I won't be on offline right now and I would be clocking in making the bank. And I would be getting more materialistic stuff. Like if I wanted to, I know how to, and it's right there. It's like at my fingertips. I just don't care. I like luxury. I will say I like having a life that,
you like nice things.
it might be the Leo in me.
Yeah,
But
I'm the same. Like I don't care too much for materialistic things, but I enjoy to travel well, stay in nice. Like I want my environment to be as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not one for collecting things.
Yes, exactly. And I think you could decipher between those people, like liking nice things but not needing it. Like if anything happened, like if I was given the option, would you like to live in this mansion in Beverly Hills for the rest of your life and have unlimited amounts of whatever, or would you like to live in Bali in like a cabin? I would 100% pick Bali.
Yeah.
100%. Like there's some people who would say, no, I want to live in Beverly Hills. Like I was just talking to this girl that I met at a beauty store, and she was telling me how she also came off social media. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really refreshing to hear. I feel like nobody's getting, like, there's people getting off, but I was like, what made you get off? She's like, well, I actually lost a big brand deal because I was a makeup artist for a big brand, I'm not going to mention. And they kind of fired me.
Because she was posting less.
Yeah. Yeah, because she was posting less and they wanted her more active. And she's like, but I don't want to live my life like that. And I was like, honestly, maybe I met you to tell you that that's the right thing for you because our intuition knows what we need best. And then she goes on to tell me how her cousin, she wants people outside her door. She's like, I want to be so famous that I can't even step outside my door. And I'm like, oh my God, the ignorance. You have no idea. You do
not want that.
Like I've had people come up to me in the locker room and I'm like, I wish this happened at a different time. Like there comes a point where, I don't know, some people are different, but privacy is a huge thing. Like there's depression in celebrities for a reason. When you don't have that privacy becomes the biggest luxury.
Yeah.
Or even just the freedom to go outside without.
Just go outside, just have a coffee in peace in the morning.
Yeah.
The moment I can't do that, it's going to be a sad day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
like I really enjoy to wake up, to just go outside, to not be interrupted, to just do my slow, chilled routine.
Yeah,
whilst I
because
kind of
you
wake
also
up.
have a state of flow, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure you've heard it before, but like when you lose focus, you have to work 3 times as hard to get back into it.
Mhm.
And waking up and having that thought, you want to take that train of thought and roll with it without it being interrupted. And that's something I have, oh my God, being off of line for this period has been so restorative, Mike. Like, I feel like the creativity, the knowledge, the thought process, the focus, there's been so many great things, which we're going to talk about.
But the dilemma is, though, you've built an audience, and in a sense, you have a duty to keep inspiring them and being that role model for them.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, which I feel like it kind of keeps me going, because they've followed you for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a good reason, because you're inspiring them and you are motivating them to be the best versions that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you kind of come away from that, they're like, where are you?
Yeah. No,
I need you.
I believe that. But I believe that as much as I think the world needs me, it doesn't. Right. And I got so narrow focused, and why I've been online for even a decade and a half is because of that exact reason.
Mhm.
That leadership mentality of I have a responsibility and this is my community and I have to lead and be the one to always move them forward. And I still want to.
You are extremely active, though.
Yeah.
I remember you do like loads of stories, lots of talking.
That's where I was mostly active, right?
Yeah.
Like, I never followed the trends of I got to have this many page posts, and it has to look this certain way. And I wasn't doing the repetitive recycling of content of following the trends and then just doing it on my page. Like, I never wasted my time on those things. If anything, I created the most content.
You were setting the trends. You set the trend.
I hope so. I mean, there's a lot of mindset people on social media, which I'm really happy about, like people talking about mindset. But I spent most of my time on stories, which benefits me in no way, right? Like, I wasn't.
It's really hard to grow if you just really go and hard. You build a strong community, but if those people aren't following you already, non-followers are probably not going to see
that high.
Yeah,
The reach isn't that high. But I mean, it just goes back to talking about my interest and why I was even online. I've never really cared about the followers or anything of that nature. But going to back to what you were saying about there's this duty, there absolutely is. But when you start to feel like you're doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to your community. When you've kind of lost that spark or that bit of vitality to go out there and share with them what you've learned, or maybe you haven't really explored so many other like perspectives. Like, you become narrow. Like, I can teach you as much as I can, as much as I know. So I felt like as I was giving so much of myself that I wasn't pouring back to myself. And now this time offline, if anything, has made me so much more resourceful. I have expanded in way more subjects. I have gotten my focus back, my creativity, my authenticity. We all have authenticity, but when you don't let the world contaminate you, you get so much more rooted in yourself. And I think it's done me so much more. And if I'm looking at long term, it's doing my community so much more. I don't have to be on their head 24/7.
Yeah.
I used to think that. I used to think like I need to show up for them every day. But if I'm being a good leader, I'm going to lead by example and show that each one of you need to be showing up for yourself. And that sometimes takes saying no to yourself.
Were you doing all of it by yourself? You didn't have a team?
I had a team, but a majority of the work was on me. And I'm going to tell you something to those who glamorize entrepreneurship. There's the guys online that say you have to work morning to night. They make you scared of it. You shouldn't be scared of entrepreneurship or having a business. However, you should carefully, meticulously, thoroughly think about the lifestyle that you want. You should think about the field in which that you're choosing to go into. If it's a natural inclination, do it. If it's a field you know nothing about, but you saw someone else doing, then you better make sure you're following someone who has done that blueprint, has that blueprint, and has succeeded, because that's really important in a field that you're don't have any interest in, but you just want to kind of take the blueprint and like paste it to your life.
Do you know what everyone's doing now?
What?
I've noticed everyone who
The Amazon selling?
There's the e-com stuff, but then there's the people who have built a bit of a following who then now start creating courses or teaching people how to also build a following and a personal brand. And it's like everybody's kind of all like doing the same thing, and it's a bit of a mess. Even I got very tempted to go down that route and teach people how to build a personal brand, how to grow a following. And I'm like, hang on, like that's not That's
Yeah.
not what I'm known for. That's not
Yeah.
my main skill set.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get sucked into doing that.
It happens to all of us creators. It happens to all of us influencers. Like money is always a temptation and it's always on the table. And the question is like, what do you do when you're led by integrity? Like,
Yes.
do you go with the brand deals that are paying you and then you have to sell products you don't even care about, or a product that, there's absolutely no motive into it or benefit for your community, but a paycheck to you. There's a lot of those people online. I could see right through them. The problem is I'm so observational. I'm the biggest critic to myself and I judge. And I'm going to honestly say I have a lot of explicit judgments. And I don't like being surrounded in an environment where people are taken advantage of. And that's why I try my best to talk about not conforming, not believing everything you see. If you are if you are a creator, we need to do a better job. Like you can say no to those brand deals that don't align with you. You can form your own authenticity and be a lot happier with less money. Like that is 100% a avenue that you could like if you have the consciousness to say, oh, I'm not buying into all of this happiness that people portray online. And I think that's what I've done. And I hope other creators are doing. I don't even have any sponsors. I don't have any, every time I've tried to work with a brand, even that I liked, I was like, okay,
You die a little bit inside
yeah, I'm
every
like,
time you do a post like.
you die, but it's just like, I don't know, like you feel like a number. In the beginning, it could be exciting because you like the brand. But then over time, through communication and working with the brand, you realize, wait, what is, again, this is why when you have consciousness, a conscious, and you're conscious, those are two different things, you start to think freely and independently, and you start to question, how come this brand is doing this? Like, what is their mission? And then why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right. For example, when I worked for clothing brands, and why it's so hard to work for clothing brands, because they treat you like a number. You have to sell, 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 sell. Well, why the hell do people need 12 collections a month? Like, it's okay to have releases and a lot of stuff, but there's these like mega brands that like when you work for them, it's nearly impossible to like even connect with your audience outside of selling. And those are the brands I stay away from. And so I think what's important is to always make sure we're adding to our community. Everybody has something great and a product to sell, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you have a great, like I have a brand and I have releases and drops, I'm happy about it, but there's a model, there's an integrity and an intention in which I carry out that brand. And when I feel like that's compromised, I have to step back and realign and reassess what is the brand doing.
Yeah. I think when people see that it's your own product and just the amount of time and effort that has gone into making it what it is and sourcing where it's coming from and how much it means to you, then it just seems so much more authentic. Like for me, when I'm on social media, even if I'm following some of my friends and they'll do a post trying to push a product or promote a company which is doesn't have anything to do with them, I'm just like, oh, I wonder how much they paid you.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's
interesting. So that's your price, is it?
But that's how we think, right? And I think that the followers are starting, like, I don't like the word followers, but the people who are online who are looking at their idols or the people that inspire them, they're starting to kind of catch on to it, but we're getting a lot more creative. Like the creators are getting a lot more manipulative, right?
Yes.
Because
they're preying on like really naive young people.
Yeah, they're getting really manipulative in which that they inspire people. So for example, man, I can write a whole book about this. The way the advertisement companies make money, right? They take an issue and then they make a trend around it, so they can make a profit. For example, so I just learned, actually, damn it, divergent thinking, calm down. Calm down. So, for example, I own a clothing brand. I know that when I have MOQs, I have to do, for example, 1,000 per size. Now, when you have these companies and they have a lot of inventory for XL, double XL, or triple XL for certain styles that larger women would not wear, going back to advertising, there's a lot of manipulation done, and they do it through psychology. Like they look at a girl's weak point, and they do it to men too. Like we're both victims of this. And what they've done is they've glorified unhealthy habits, and they've termed it as self-care or accepting yourself. So if you're a larger girl, you can eat what you want because you can love yourself in your skin, or you can wear what you want because you love yourself in your skin. And they've completely neglected the aspect of ownership, right? Like taking someone out of victim role. Like if you're a victim and you feel like you're not the person you want to be, you're just telling them, embrace who you are. Like that's different than saying, no, like be who you are, like know your values, know who you are and be authentic. embrace who you are no matter what, no matter how obese. Like,
Yeah.
that's absolutely absurd. Then you're telling somebody that if they have a drug problem, or if they have a their interpersonal skills aren't good, or their intrapersonal skills aren't good, they don't treat people well, or they have a eating disorder, embrace yourself. And we're saying this indirectly, like with the advertisements, with the commercials, with the celebrities that we get on board for certain campaigns. They know there's a psychology game behind all of this. And maybe because I majored in psychology, I know it, or maybe because of my genetics, I have a higher conscientiousness than most people, but it's so easy to see through.
Yeah.
And I think I want, like, a lot of what I do online is to make people aware. Number one, awareness is a big part of my programming. You have to be aware of yourself in the outer world, making people aware that not everybody that goes online and cries and says, like, this is my story and this and that, really cares about your well-being. There's a manipulation happening already on social media. So from the creator point of view, from the huge corporations, and then also from the people running this app, like Silicon Valley, Facebook, Instagram, they don't care about your well-being at all. Like, if they did, they would take out the manipulative engine behind Instagram, and they would just make Instagram a subscription based, where companies can pay and people can pay. Like, YouTube, I think, is a much better option than Instagram, because when you go on the page, like if you look at any landing page, ton of videos. Like, if you're bored for 1 second, they're going to pull you right into another video.
Yeah.
But at least it's not bite-sized content. At least there isn't an algorithm as toxic as Instagram. Like, it's not going to take you through a 500 series of depressing videos if you liked one depressing quote, right? There's been a lot of lawsuits about kids killing themselves, and parents are still fighting Meta, still fighting Facebook. Oh, that's the same thing. But they don't want to take responsibility. And that's also an area I've been studying a lot. It's like, wow, when you really understand their intentions, you start to question, why am I on this app as much as I am? Because it's not that you're stupid, right? Like, you're not stupid. We all think we have control over our attention. However, if I told you that the same attention engineers that are used in the Las Vegas casinos are engineering these apps, and the multi-billion-dollar psychologists are engineering these apps to keep your attention, how would you approach your phone?
Yeah, then you wouldn't go on it.
Or you would try to learn how to use it as a tool, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to scare people like the news does and say, like, don't. But be more conscious.
Yeah. Be more selective of who you follow.
Yeah, definitely.
If you notice your feed is getting a little bit messed up, then at least now you can reset it.
Yeah.
Apparently, which is good. But it's still, I find it.
What do you mean by reset it?
You can completely reset your feed and your algorithm.
And how do you do that?
You go on to, I have not personally done it because my feed is actually okay. Well, I enjoy it.
I think you should show us your feed.
Don't look at my feed. There's a way of doing it on the settings where you can just reset everything, then it goes back to like as if you have just gone to the app for the very first time. But then very quickly, obviously, it will start to adjust based on what you're interested in, what you're spending time on. And the weirdest thing is as well, like my friends have sent me some weird stuff sometimes, also pretty fucked up stuff. I'm also like guilty of sending them some fucked up stuff. But like if the program, the algorithm is noticing that you're spending time or engaging with that type of content, it'll just show you more of it.
I'm willing to even say that if you have a top 3 send list on Instagram, your feeds are all going to look very similar.
Yeah.
If you have a top 3, like you guys are, when you go to send, these are the top 3 people you communicate with on Instagram and you're sending reels to, I can bet 9 out of 10 you guys have a very similar feed because they've categorized you into that audience.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what the manipulative engine does, right? All of this data that we give, Google, all of these shopping stores, everything, who's buying that data? Brands that advertise.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It gets really complicated when you want to say who's the bad guy and who's not. But I think the main message here is your data is being sold. You're being thrown into an audience. And especially for women, this is problematic because if you feel a certain way at a certain time, you can get stuck in that feeling because your algorithm can be so fixated on that type of, and it's horrible. Like oh my God, let's not even get into like vanity and, surgeries and bodies. Like you could get sucked into that algorithm. So use social media as a tool.
It's so funny. I remember I went through a breakup and then I started, for whatever reason, paying more attention to these reels that were talking about relationships, and a lot of it wasn't very constructive reels. It was actually promoting like more of a toxic approach to relationships as a whole. And then I remember after that period of time, like my feed was just full of all that kind of stuff. But luckily, like I'm older and I know what to maybe take interest and make note of, or what to just discard.
Yeah.
The problem is young people they don't have that filter. So that whatever is being sent to them, they're kind of absorbing it, and they're just approaching relationships with this extremely toxic way of doing it.
Absolutely. And I think what's important is to mention is that we're always going to, like, we have a bias, right? We have the implicit bias and the explicit bias. Like your implicit is like, they're unconscious biases that you have. Like you don't even know that you have them. The explicit bias is like, you know, you have that bias. Like, for example, there's a race, I don't like them. Like it's an explicitly clear thing I know about. The implicit biases are more discreet, they're more subtle. You don't really know about them. And so I think sometimes when we have an issue, like we got out of a breakup, sometimes we try to justify, or we have this bias implicitly where we're looking for that information to justify that I'm in a good place, or I made the right decision. And we need to be careful, because then we're not in ownership. If there's two positions in life, right? If you're ever stuck in a moment, you should always think about, am I in a victim position or am I in ownership, right? And those two change the course of your life, because one operates from responsibility, the other one operates from, you have no power. I'm a victim. And so if you're in a position where you're thinking about, like, you came out of a breakup, you can justify if you're right or wrong, but then what? Your ego won?
Yeah.
Okay, kudos. Now you're going to have the next relationship. And what did you really learn and take into that relationship? So in those moments, we have to have the awareness, again, to stop and think about, what am I looking for? Right? Like, how often do we stop ourselves and even want to know where we are in the universe of emotions? Like, what am I even feeling? We just automatically, and that's the issue with these phones. Like, we don't use them as tools. We just grab in. I just want to feel something. I want to feel like I'm okay.
Yeah.
And we're not getting specific about, what are you even feeling? Are you sad? Do you feel guilt? Like, are you looking for clarity? Like, what emotion? There's thousands of emotions. We think there's 30, there's thousands. Like, I think there's 30,000 plus.
We don't even dwell or just bask in a particular emotion that we might be experiencing. For example, you might not sit there and think, why do I feel like this? There's usually a reason why you feel a certain way, but you never really feel it or question where it's come from. You're just like, oh, okay. So anyway, let me get back to my phone.
Yeah. So there's a part of so an emotion is like in motion, like it's an energy in motion, right? And a feeling is what you think in your head. It's the awareness of that emotion, right? So if you're not feeling that emotion, then you can't even recognize it. That's why they say feel, process your emotions. And so what you notice is, like, in life, you'll have the people who go into the gym so that they don't have to ever figure out or face those uncomfortable questions, not even just about themselves or about life. Like, what is the meaning of my life? So we either go into a route where we're working out so much that there's so much pain in the body, we never have to pay attention to these questions, like forming our self-concept. We never do it.
You feel like you were doing that? Were you doing that?
No, I think, like, to some degree, I've done it. I don't think it was so much with the gym, because we all create identities and personas. I've never carried that mask with me. Like, I was okay with dropping everything as I evolved. Like, I was the power lifter, dropped it. I was the girl who went on Steve Austin's Broken Skull, dropped it. Like, I evolved out of so many stages of myself. I don't think that I kept a persona long enough because I needed to, or because I wasn't trying. Like, I was trying to figure out what life was about. Like, I was traveling. I started traveling at 17. I was very much more of a student of life then than I think I was in my mid-20s. And so I did, however, now next option is we distract ourselves now with either social media. So I never have to pay attention to my discomfort. I never have to get back to the question that makes me uncomfortable. What is my purpose here? What is the meaning of life? Like, these are simple questions. Most people cannot answer them. Or I work myself to death, which I think I did. Right. And I wasn't even intending to distract myself from these questions, but I was just working so much that I think I never answered the questions that went back to my childhood, where I'm like, oh, my childhood didn't bother me. Like, watching my mom work 3 jobs and kill herself didn't bother me. Like, it inspired me because I chose to look at it that way, but there were still questions I needed to answer. Like, I should have gone back and evaluated and asked myself more questions about my childhood and how I felt, but I was just like, it didn't matter. It made me better. And that's the way I chose to move. And now, as you get into your later 20s, early 30s, you're just like, I was distracting myself there, or I was, I was pushing away the hard questions. And that's someone at my age at that time, I was way above my years. So it happens to all of us, right? Like, you're not wrong for doing that. I'm not any better than you. I think the main message here is you have to stop and face those questions. And the sooner you do, I think you'll feel a lot more empowered than less. The sooner you do, the less time you put into wasting on, short-term gratification or satisfaction or entertainment. Like, the sooner we do that, the sooner our society stops amusing themselves to death. Because that's what we're doing. Like, I love that book, Amusing Yourself to Death. We are doing that 24/7. Short size content. Like, the part that like drives me insane is like, when do we as a society start to realize that we're so transactional? Like, when are we gonna like actually wake up to we're lonely, but why? Like, we're in a lonely pandemic. Not just because of COVID. Like, COVID made things a lot worse, but the smart people realized what was happening in COVID. The smart people who weren't just, let me drink my life away and let me watch these videos, and like those people who were polarizing like the idea of what was happening were like, I wonder why this is happening. And I'll tell you what I was thinking. They're going to cripple us and make us so weak through isolation, because when you want to make someone weak, you throw them in jail. You put them in isolation. So what is that going to do to our society? Well, it's threatening our psychological need for sense of belonging and social connection. This is a psychological need. I need my community needs me. So they're eliminating that. All right, so now we're going to be like junkies looking for, how am I going to get my social needs satisfied? Now they've made us addicted to social media and our telephones. Now our focus has declined a lot. Now people are alcoholics. So if you look at the brain circuit, we all have a dopamine circuit, right? Everyone's looks a bit different, but we have the psychological needs. And in the way in which we are satisfying that, when it's eliminated, the brain is still going to search for it. Like, I used to get a lot of dopamine from hanging out with my friends. It's still going to search for that. And so I think that's what I was observing. And I was just like, wow, this is going to be bad, and bad fast, because we're not just looking at a momentarily depressed state. We're looking at way more problems down the line on a psychological level. Loneliness, inability to focus. We can't do long hours work. Like, we can't sit down and do long hours of work. Everybody's got ADHD now, self-diagnosing themselves. I don't really think it's ADHD.
No.
I think you've just been in this loop of short-sized content that when it comes down to sitting down and doing the hard work, you simply can't, because your brain hasn't been programmed.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself.
Yeah, so have I.
I'm like, how the hell can I like not watch a film all the way through? Why the hell can I not just sit down and write something? It's like I'm always looking to bounce from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm taking this back to then, but I don't believe our I mean, people are gonna be like, you should be proud to be an American. But I don't think our country, if you compare it to other countries, is really community focused.
Which countries do you find most
community focused?
Yeah.
It's South Asia. Easy. I mean, I've been to Thailand and even Japan. I'm going to tell you a story about Japan. No country is perfect, but I look at how the country cares for its community and how the people within the country care for its community. And a lot of these people have less and are happier. And the answer is community. The answer is like, they don't feel isolated. They don't feel lonely. There's a purpose into their life more than just themselves, right? And I think a lot of people in America don't feel that, right? We've become lonely for multiple reasons. We could talk about it if you'd like to dive into that. But we've become a very transactional society. Capitalism will do that. It'll commercialize any society. I think Dubai is experiencing a portion of that by the city. But
where did you go in Japan?
I didn't go to Japan. I'm going to tell you a story about Japan.
Okay. I thought, like, from my experience when I went to Japan, the men are struggling there. Like, they have no confidence to go and talk to women. Like, that's I've found, maybe not throughout the entire country, but certainly in Tokyo, it's everybody's very kind of isolated.
Maybe in terms of like interpersonal skills, I think in terms of community, the way I look at it is how we care for one another. And if you look at Japan, for example, like our obesity here in the States is like 42%, if not greater. Theirs is
Mm.
4%. And if you say why, and I was listening to a man who actually went and did the study, and he went to Japan and shadowed the schools, and he went particularly to was it,
I know they
forget which city it was, but
they don't consume excessive amounts of food. They eat until they're 78% full and stop.
I mean, correct.
I didn't see any obese people.
Yeah, there's no obese people, which was part of his conclusion and his study purpose of his research trip. The main takeaways were the public schools there were preventative. They weren't waiting till there was an issue to then come out with a cure. They're preventative, meaning every single public school had an assigned nutritionist.
Yeah.
Does anywhere in the US do that? Assigned nutritionist who, by the way, cooks the food for the students. The school lunch is cooked by a nutritionist who, by the way, is not allowed to use any paste canned products. Everything has to be made from whole foods.
Mm.
And then on top of that, cherry on top, she has to educate the kids about the food, what their body needs. And so if you're putting this into young children, I mean really young, like for the study I was watching, they looked really young. Those are the developmental years of children. Like you're preventing the sugar addictions. You're preventing a lot of the issues that we see here. And these are easy fixes for us in the US. Like the more I study science, political science, the more I study history, I start to realize that everything is done by design.
Yeah.
Like even our healthcare system that is so absurd. Like there's hundreds and thousands of people dying a year for curable and very easily easily cured diseases, or because they don't have health insurance. And then why can't we just apply what Canada's doing? Every single person gets taxed. They're all enrolled into the same healthcare. You guys tax us 60% in the US. Like, why can't you take a portion of that and enroll us all into a healthcare system? So when you start to study, and this is why it's important to know multiple subjects, and it's important to get off your phone and stop being entertained all the time and educate yourself and form an opinion and have a view that's yours, not painted by others. You start to realize, I think our issue is more of a community thing. Like we're very transactional.
Do you think it's with the healthcare stuff and obesity? Do you think that's a lack of education and understanding of nutrition, or just the sheer inaccessibility of healthier alternatives? Because I've experienced just being in America for a short period of time, maybe not so much New York, but I remember when I was in Texas, I was like, right, I just want to find like a quick, easy place to go and eat. And it was just like junk everywhere, like all these fast food chains. So I found that it was a little bit more challenging to eat healthier.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say it's a mix of both. Like, I don't look at things as just like one problem, one solution. I would probably say it's a mix of both. But for me, the way I look at it is like we have access to our phones that teach us so many like easy recipes and so many ways to save money. Like, if you go into a store, you're putting $6 into a box of cereal, where like $6 at the time could have gotten you like 2 cartons of eggs. Now it's at a completely different trajectory. But I think that the option to eat well is there. I think our healthcare is set up the way that it is because they want to continue to profit from us, because a client cured is a customer lost, So I think that, and it's crazy because this scientist was telling us that the drug companies, like big pharma and everything, they would go to them and ask them to make them medications just for treatment, not for cure.
Yeah.
Like the scientist was saying,
That's a serious problem.
I was dumbfounded.
I couldn't believe that like 70% of all advertising on TV here is pharmaceutical companies.
Big pharma is a genius.
Like
they have the most genius
insane.
Marketing.
It's like, why are you still allowing this to happen?
Yeah. I mean, like people pay like companies or whatever. If you have something that's unhealthy, you'll go to big pharma and say, hey, can I pay you for a study and say that this is healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Like big pharma is genius marketing, like genius, because now anyone can buy research.
Yeah.
And so no wonder we're so scared to eat anything. But I think at the same time is like, don't fall prey. Like I got off social media partially too because I felt like there was an influx of information, irrelevant information. Like I was constantly, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. I'm like, dude, I'm so tired of my phone telling me what to do.
This was relating to nutrition? Or
nutrition, health, like everything, they want to inflict fear in us, right? There's a level of education, but there's a whole lot of fear that they want to inflict. That's what also COVID did. Let's scare these people so much that they're too paralyzed to make a decision. So when you're weak and when you're afraid, your cortex, your
Yeah.
system's not operating at its best. And so that's where I was like, let me just cut back a little bit. Let me get back to me. Let me pour back into me. But the issue of do we have access to good food? I mean, you can always make things better. Like, there are people who say, oh, well, healthy food is too expensive. What does your food bill look like? Why are you buying so much cereal, so much snacks, so much packaged and processed sliced turkey? Like, it's not really excusable. It's not. There's definitely economic issues that are playing a role into it, but it's not the ultimate reason as to why we're obese. If our community needs to care about one another.
We'll get back to the podcast in a second, but first of all, I want to say a massive shout out to Bionic. I have been using their supplements for the past 4 years. I never knew what supplements I needed to take. I'd always go into the pharmacy and buy a load of random bottles and end up popping pills all day, every day, not having a clue if I was consuming the vitamins which I should be consuming at all. But Bionic came to save the day. They are a tailor-made supplement company that will put together your own specific formula based on your activity, your gender. I have Bionic Pro, where I get the blood test done every 3 to 4 months, and based on that blood test, I get my own personalized formula. For those people who don't want to do a blood test or don't have access to that, then you can go with Bionic Go, where you just have to fill in a short questionnaire, and based on that questionnaire, you will get your tailored supplements with a surprisingly high degree of accuracy. So stop the guesswork, sign up to Bionic, and ensure that you remove those deficiencies and build up your immune system.
What are you doing to kind of improve your environment and the people that you're spending your time with?
So this is the first time in my life that I feel like I have a social life, and it's super grounding. Similar to work, what you put in is what you get out. And I've been so fortunate enough to have friends that were so supportive to me, even when I wasn't as supportive or present to them, as I should have rephrased that. I wasn't so present in their lives, right? And I always tell even my best friend, I'm like, you've been a way better best friend to me than I have been to you, because I always had work, 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 work. And my true friends supported that, or like, they were like, damn, like, we'll deal with it for now. But they were always there. And
it's like a guy when he gets in a relationship and then he just disappears off the map, and you're like,
I mean,
where have you been? He's like, we broke up. I'm single now. Hey, let's go.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a bit of emotional maturity, a bit of a spiritual maturity. So I think now I've been focused a lot more on my community, on my circle, because that's how I'm going to fuel myself. Like, Heba has changed. I'm not the same Heba I was before, and I don't want to be. Right? The point of life is to enlighten yourself. It's to take that wisdom to do something with it. Right? I'm a lot more scared sticking to the same version of me for the next 40 years than I am be exploring different aspects and perspectives of myself, even if that means less money, even if that means the initial game plan I had set for myself, I'm going to go off course. Like, that's just who I am, right? And I think it's important for the world to realize that you play a very big role in our society, being the way that you are in your 9-to-5 job with your unique traits. The issue with everyone conforming to the trends and this lifestyle that you need to have or you're not successful is we ruin the mutations of the next generation. So we're basically saying entrepreneurs are amazing, everyone else is crap, right? Like, you should be an entrepreneur, have this. Go do that. But there is a role in every single personality, right? So if we're going back to evolutionary speaking, if there's one woman and 100 men, that's a problem for the next generation, because she can only get pregnant once. But then if there's 100 women and 1 man, you can have 100 babies in 1 year. He's going to be busy, but you're going to have 100 babies in a year. So the next generation works. And we should look at our society as each person is now creating a better gene pool when we mutate, rather than everyone being the same. Because then if we have an issue within a community or even within a board, if everybody is the same or thinks the same or has been conformed to be the same person, we get this group polarization, which is a problem because we have fewer solutions, right? We all start to think very much alike, and then we're afraid to even stand out and say, no, I think this. Then that's a problem for society.
Your friendship group like you?
No. Absolutely
a mix.
not. I've never had a friend that was like me. Never.
So how do you go and find people who are going to be good for your soul? Because I think this is something which has been an issue with any past relationship that I've had in Dubai, I've wanted to kind of get them in the right friendship group, not this toxic community of women who all they're interested in is going out partying and just looking for men with money.
So the question was, how do you find good friends who are good for your soul?
And I think more so, I don't know, I feel like it's hard for women to do that. Am I wrong? I don't know. But I feel like from my experience in Dubai, like if I wanted to find friends who were similar to me, they were ambitious, go-getters, willing to help each other, be supportive of each other, I feel like it's a lot easier to find. Whereas for a woman in that environment, I think it's more challenging. Like an
Yeah.
entrepreneurial, well, it doesn't even need to be an entrepreneurial woman, but just a woman who's just wants to be around wholesome
Yeah.
women who's going to be good for the brain.
Well, like you said, environment is a big factor. So it
Mm.
depends on the environment in which you're in. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I left Dubai, because I don't like being surrounded by people who have values that differentiate from mine. That's a explicit bias. Like I
Mhm.
know that. I know that I want to be around people who are successful and they don't need to bloat about it. Like I can't stand that. And so I think we could take the first step by knowing our environment and using observation. Like you are allowed to judge, you are allowed to observe someone and take them for their actions, right? Like so often people, they don't want to leave their friend circle, or they rather not be alone. So they'll hang out with people who have horrible habits, who will like drink their minds away on the
Yeah.
weekends, because at least they're a part of something. And I think the first step is to be okay with being alone, because it's a lot lonelier to be in a group that you don't really share any values with.
Mhm.
So, number one, know your values. Everyone's so quick to say, I'm a nice person, I'm honest, no, really know your values, and you'll know your values based on your actions, not based on, everyone could say, these are my values, but how are you showing up in the world?
Mhm.
Right? You should know your values first. You should tweak the values that you want to work on, because you will attract what you are. You cannot lie to yourself. Like you cannot, your subconscious is like literally recording everything. And it's like Google. Like, Google hears you and they just hit
Yeah,
you with
yeah,
that
yeah.
ad. Like our subconscious is the seat of our emotions, and it projects the manifestation in our life. So if you're looking for better, become the better, identify the values. And then now when you observe, look for people who have those values, even if you don't have them, right? Like growing up, my friends were a lot of times older than me. People think it's a surprise. Like, oh my God, you're so successful. Oh, is it because you're beautiful? Or is it because you worked hard hours? Maybe it's because I actually didn't do what everyone was doing. Maybe because when I was in high school, I wasn't the cool kid. Or when I was in college, I spent no time on campus. Or maybe because I didn't really spend time with family. I was out in the world exploring and figuring myself out. I was building my experience. Maybe that's why. Like,
Mhm.
take out the hard hours, but I was willing to do that. And so going against the grain is very important. Becoming the person you want to be, but also surrounding yourself with those who have those traits. And that takes a little bit of humility. Like a lot of people want to be the best in the room. You have to accept that there's better people than you and you want to be around them. All my friends are older than me. All my friends made way more money than me. Like I was always 10 years ahead, like of anything,
Mhm.
like anyone around me. Even my friends and my siblings who were like in their 30s, always ahead of everyone. And I think that's why that's the answer. So if you want to be ahead, that's the answer. But you have to make the hard choice ultimately to like do bygones. I was just talking about to my friend about how it's okay to grieve yourself, right? Like so often we grieve the people we physically lose in life, but when you're going through a transition and you've changed, right? Whether it's you become a new version of you, or if you just rediscovered who you were, but you've kind of taken out the noise and you're back to who you were. When you're there, it's okay to grieve who you were. And nobody talks about that. Maybe it's more relative to women, but like it's really, when you start to look at, when you've changed so much that you look at that girl as like, damn, you're so different.
Mhm.
And some people don't want to let go of that version of them. Like they feel like they owe a loyalty or some type of bound to that version of them. It's okay to completely leave that person behind. And I think when I did that, because that was a very hard thing for me to do, I didn't even know that was an issue I had, right? But when I was going back to the first question you asked me, 2022, I came back, 2023, something wasn't sitting right. All right. And then 2024, obviously, we saw the thing that happened in Gaza, and there's a huge perspective shift for everyone. Like this huge sorrow, this huge moment of like introspecting on your life. And right before then, I had already like let go of half my team because I was in the position where I didn't lead in the way that I wanted to. And I needed to like work on my qualities myself so that I can have a clearer direction in where I wanted to go. Because there comes a point where you're like, am I creating or am I responding?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, like creating and reacting, or am I simply like, no, am I creating and responding, or am I reacting? And we react inevitably. Like our primitive mind is what makes us react. So I was like, I need to pause because I could do so much better than this, right? Like I do good, but I could do exceptional, and I could also do that in a clearer head. So I was already going through that change. And when I actually like decided that's how I'm going to step off, like there was this feeling of it's restorative. Do you know what I mean? Like it's restorative. You actually get to know what it feels like to be present. Like you've been plugged in for so long. Do you ever feel like sometimes your thinking could be a lot more efficient if you just had more breathing?
Yeah, I think particularly with social media and starting pretty early on, you can get caught up in the trap of just doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that's what a lot of people do, and is one of the reasons why they have like a rise, a peak, and then they drop off because they either keep trying to be this person which they're no longer anymore because they've matured or they've evolved, grown up, but then because they're stuck with this identity of being this person creating a specific type of content for this audience which they've built, they lose the passion, the enthusiasm, and it can kind of come across on camera, on the videos, and they just kind of either they just stop posting or people lose the interest because the passion is not there, the consistency is not there. So I think it's important every so often, I don't know how often it needs to be, but just you do need to take a bit of time off, have a little bit of a break, and just review what you're doing, the content you're making. Does it sit right with you, or do you feel like you need to go off in a different direction? And I think that's been one of the hardest parts for me, is to kind of take that different direction when people aren't used to it or they're not expecting it. They're like, hang on, this is not something that you do. And you can have a bit of an identity crisis and have imposter syndrome, thinking, oh shit, like this actually isn't really what I do or what I'm known for.
Yeah.
But this is the new direction I want to take. And it's going to be a bit rocky to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's what is needed because this is the next chapter for me.
Absolutely. And it takes a lot of courage. And I think something that could help you through that process is remembering that if you are always authentic, there's always an audience because you don't have to pretend. Like you can only pretend for so long. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the persona is the social masks we put on, but behind that is the shadow of like who you really are. And I think people get tired, and like your quote is saying, tired, and they lose that spark because then the pretending comes to an end.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so subconscious. Like with me, for example, I was a very intense athlete. And I knew that what people loved seeing from me was my motivational videos, working out, because it didn't register to their head that I need to go work out, but it was a lot more psychological. I always coupled my workouts with potential, mindset. And I knew that my extremes would always take their mind there without me having to bore them in education. That's why I did a lot of that training, is because I wanted to move people. I wanted them to think differently. And so I kind of enslaved myself to that algorithm of, because I know my audience wants this, I'm going to do that. And it came to a point where I was like, yo, I'm so tired of the cameras. Like, I don't really care to film my intense training because I wasn't doing that intense training to prove something to myself. I was doing it because I knew my audience loved it. But there are
Would you still train like that off camera now?
Absolutely. Like that was my life.
Yeah.
Like if anything, my life in high school, my training off of the grid of Instagram was a lot more intense than what people see.
Yeah.
They see the cool stuff, but like the intensity was it's always offline. So
when the cameras are there, there's always that element of distraction. It's weird because
it's annoying for me.
I could be creating so much more content relating to the gym, but nothing makes me happier to be alone in my own little world, just training the way I like to train at my own pace.
Absolutely.
Not having to, I mean, you can still kind of do that with a camera being there, but it's just not the same. That
No,
you can't switch off.
definitely, it's not.
Especially if you are required to talk. Like I do not like when I'm training, I don't like to talk.
Mhm.
Mostly because I don't have the energy to be talking because I'm
Yeah.
recovering from the set I've just done, and then it's time to do it again.
And
But
then you're also tapping into your psyche. So when we're doing something that's like an autopilot, like it's easy for us to do. Like you don't think about picking up biceps. Picking up biceps. You don't think about picking up the dumbbells to do bicep curls. You're just doing it. Your brain then, like that's your space to go into creative flow. That's your space to reflect with yourself. That's your time to think because you're in that state. Like it's very similar to driving. I love my drives. Like a lot of people like to talk and FaceTime their friends. I love my drives because I'm in my head.
silence or music?
Well, I stopped listening to music. I stopped.
No.
I've gone into a state, yeah. Well, I listen to instrumentals, right? But I don't, and this
You
is,
used to like house music.
I liked house music a lot. Yes, I liked hip hop, Post Malone. I never really listened to, like, maybe there's one or two trendy songs from Cardi B, but I'm very conscious and conscientious. When you know that your subconscious mind
Just absorbing
is literally
the
the
lyric.
seat of emotion,
Yeah.
and people wonder why they end up having the demeanor and acts of things that they weren't. It's like, what are you consuming? Like, these songs are so vulgar.
If you're listening to really aggressive rap music, then of
Yeah.
course you're gonna walk around with an attitude, like
And,
pretty pissed
I
off.
think it's funny because like it's so true. Like I've used music to my advantage many times, and so many NFL players do, right? Like what are they listening to before they go
Yeah.
out there to compete? Music is very powerful. Again, use things as a tool for yourself. For me, in the stage that I'm in, I don't need the lyrics of somebody. I'll listen to Michael Bublé. Like I'll listen to music, but I'm not going to listen to profanity. I'm not going to listen to drugs and all this stuff that I don't listen to that stuff because it affects me. So at the time and stage when I was competing and I was running, absolutely, I would have on like the craziest like music, but at the same time, I wasn't really paying attention. I just liked the roughness of that rap or that hip hop. But I'm very conscious now. Like as I'm getting older, I'm just smarter and I'm wiser. So I'm making better decisions. So instead of the hour and a half that I spend commuting a day is just on wasteless music, the hour and a half is put on podcast. It's put on learning a language. It's put on studying the Quran, which is my religion. Like God's word is not the most powerful thing on earth, right? But I think the world has made us so distracted that we don't pay attention to the things that are so important to us. None of the answers of which that you need are ever in the world. Ever yet. So many of us have been, will say, well, maybe if I have the dream body, well, maybe if I have that house, maybe if I have the car and I live in this place, in this society, can I be happy? And it's like, you're never going to find anything looking into the external world. You'll experience moments of happiness and which will die very quickly. But everything that we've ever wanted is inward.
Yeah.
Right. Like the book Mastery by Robert Greene, if you haven't read it, I really suggest. Love how he says, like, your mastery is always going to start inward. Like it's never going to start external. Like there's the external resources that can help us, but you have to internally decide that, hey, I'm happy or I'm grateful. Like these are the inner works I really want people to like get off of social media as much so you can focus on. Like podcasts are great, but be more conscious with your decisions. And I think for me, it's been really helpful. Like spending my 1.5 hours off of music and listening, I can't wait. Like, like when I'm talking to my friends, I can't wait to share something new with them rather than gossip. And, oh my God, did you see what the Kardashian did? Like, this is nonsense. Like we idolize and worship the biggest failures of earth. Like, and especially I think younger women, which really is upsetting because if beauty was really the answer to happiness for women, then why is it that the women, I'm not even going to spell names because it's quite obvious, who have put millions of dollars into their surgeries, why do they still Photoshop? Answer that question for me. If beauty was the answer to confidence and happiness, why Photoshop? If surgery was the answer, if the surgery was really going to make you happy, girl, why would you still Photoshop?
Yeah.
It shows you that there's a deeper issue. It's an ego that's never fed. It's a hyper sensitivity of over analyzing that's never satisfied because again, you're looking at the external to justify something you should be doing from the inside.
Yeah, well,
And same,
especially if they've grown up with that, or like
yeah.
a large part of their career is reliant upon their beauty,
Yeah.
then
But then
it's
even then, right? People will say if I'm beautiful, I'll have a husband. Like I'll have a good husband.
yeah,
And it's like, who's had the most divorces ever? I think Hollywood's been more
yeah,
divorced than the entire country put together. I mean, that's a far stretch, but you get what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like it's not enough. The beauty's not enough, the money's not enough. I think it's really important for each person to be a very independent thinker, form your own thoughts. Don't let the world do it for you because it is without your permission.
hmm
Like do you know when most of your subconscious programming is completed by what age?
Probably young.
Really young, like
Yeah,
7.
yeah.
7. So while, we walk around, this guy is 45, he might still be a 9-year-old. And that's not even kidding. Like a lot of people are stuck in their subconscious programming, meaning their beliefs, meaning their viewpoints of life. They're the rules, right? Like it's crazy because you grow up, like when you're born, you don't even have physical awareness. You're
hmm
just a worm. You have nothing. And then when you're 1, you start to notice physical awareness. And then by the time of 3, 4, you've picked up a lot of words. Now, by the time you're 7, you you become more concrete. So you take those words and you associate meaning. This is when rules enters your life, right? When your parents say, this is not good, this is not good. So without even choice, you're being programmed. Like everyone thinking, oh no, I don't get influenced. No, we're all getting influenced. Like
Mm.
you're either programming yourself or you're getting programmed by design. So you choose your option because it's happening either way. And so most of the programming happens at that age. And that's why a lot of times when people go for psychology, they're always going back into their past, figuring out their beliefs, figuring out their thought patterns. I can't even tell you how many of my friends, like, I'll be like, yo, do you know what the difference is between Christians and Catholics? Because I'm genuinely interested. I've never talked about religion ever on my social media platforms because I always just thought it was a topic you don't touch, or I don't like dividing people. But again, if you study something, you start to realize division has never really separated us.
hmm
Like it actually connects all of us. The media and the way they put out religion separates us. So again, educate yourself because knowledge is definitely power. And then I wouldn't be having this conversation right now if I didn't study much of what I did. So I'll talk to my friends. Do you know what the difference is between Christians and Catholics? Because I genuinely want to know. I'm studying. Oh no, I don't know. I'm like, okay, but are you Christian? She's like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, okay, so you follow the Trinity. She goes, what's the Trinity? And I was like, there's no way this is happening right now. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, there's no way. I'm like, Son of God, you know, God, Son's God, and then God's Spirit, I believe. I'm like, she's like, oh, really? I thought it was just one God. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, this is what I mean, though. Like, I'm not even saying this in a jokingly way, but, we get programmed, that we become concrete at such a young age. We never question those beliefs ever. And then before you know it, like we're 30 years old and we still have the programming that we had when we were 10 years old.
hmm
And so who's going to go back and do that? You have to. I mean, there's like, I think marriage is a big part. Like your partner can come and
Yeah.
help you. Like, I think relationships are so good because they release all of the traumas you've had that you didn't even know you had. And if you are willing to learn, if you're patient, your partner can be one of the best healers for you. You got to do the healing, but they're going to release all the traumas that you didn't know you had.
hmm
So I think in the society where we're living in, where we're making relationships look so pretty, like there's absolutely no perfect person. But when you look at your person, if you see your best friend, if you see that person that's like, has the qualities, the non-negotiable values,
hmm
if those are there, all the other annoyances, all the other issues you guys have, like you should 100% fight for it because every relationship will have it.
Yeah, you can't expect to go into a relationship and search for perfection and expect there to be no trauma at all.
Yeah.
Like there is going to be some element of it from something that's happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, in some cases, it'll be worse than others, but I think I have sometimes made the mistake of noticing it and be like, oh, some trauma here. Like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, she should be working on it. I don't want to have to like
Mhm.
help her work on it. But I think that is your duty as a partner
Yeah.
to help each other.
Yeah.
Like I've got my issues which I need to, solve. And if I'm going to be with someone that's going to help me go through that, then
Mike,
that's
I want to tell you something, right? Like we all have issues and there's issues we don't even know we have. And that's the
Mm.
shadow of who we are. Like the subconscious that we buried so low. And that, at some point in our life, we had that moment where we said, yeah, I've been through that, but I justified that like it's not affecting me today.
yeah.
That's the conscious decision I'm making to say it's not affecting me.
Mhm.
Subconscious says something else. That's on a completely different program. And I didn't know how many like triggers I had until like I met my partner. And I'm like, oh my God. Like there was moments where I was misreading the room, or I would say like something's not right. And easily you would want to run away from the relationship. Because remember, the primitive mind is there to protect. It's not always rational. These are our animal instincts, right? It's not always rational. So if you just react, which it does, because the primitive mind just reacts, then you're going to miss the opportunity to respond and to evaluate the situation the right way. Like you don't have to run away all the time. You could sit there. You could sit in the discomfort. You can like analyze what's happening. And I think doing that has made me grow and heal so much. Like my viewpoints, my perspectives, like I have evolved into, I would say, into a completely different version of myself, but I wouldn't even say it's new. I would just say it wasn't about becoming someone else. It's just unbecoming everything that I've acquired throughout my life. And we all have the opportunity to do that. And if someone else can be your mirror and the soundboard, that's totally fine and reasonable. And don't let the world tell you that you can't heal that person. That's on them. Like, again, where's the empathy? Like, since when do we say, I'm going to marry this partner, this person, it's going to be my partner for life? Your trauma is on your own. Bye. And I'm going to be on my way. Does that sound right?
No.
No, right? I think there's a level of responsibility that the person has to have for themselves, but you as your partner should be willing to help them because they can do that for you in return. And then that builds trust. That builds understanding. If you are a man and I'm a woman, your nature is so much more different than mine. Is it not important for me to understand your nature? Is it not important for me when you tell me to dress a certain way for me to understand why you're saying that? Because if you don't explain your nature, I'm going to say you're controlling. It's a patriarchal concept and like you want to control me as a woman. But if he, as a man, explains to me, this is how men are and this is how they look, and I'm territorial and I'm protective, why the hell would you not want your partner to be territorial or protective?
Yeah.
You know, if you really want that deep love, right? Again, it has to be reciprocated in both ways. So that's the purpose of having a partner. Like you're going to help each other. You can't say you're on your own with this trauma because you need them just as much as they need you. And we each have differences. We're not competing, right? We need to complete each other. And that's the ultimate goal of marriage. It's like, or a successful relationship. I have to always make you better so you can always make me better. And I always have to be better so I can make you better. Do you get what I'm saying? It all loops in together. The moment we start to get selfish and say, oh, I'm going to get better and I'm going to get my bread and you focus on yourself, I don't know. It sounds like a competition. It sounds like a divide.
It's so interesting. It's why I still, at my age, I'm still looking to learn as much as possible about relationships and marriage and everything, because it's something that you never really taught. It's like almost like you have to figure it out for yourself or go in search of that knowledge to help to improve, you know, the relationships or how to be a better partner or even parent. I think one thing which I want to do, I want to be a parent, but I want to be the best parent that I can be. And going back to what you said about everything being absorbed to some subconscious before the age of 7, kind of highlights the importance of both the mother and the father needing to be there to be the best parents that they can be. I see a lot of guys in the red pill space who just think, oh, well, I'm just going to try and make as many babies as possible. And, you know, I don't need to be around that much. It's kind of like, actually, I think you probably should be around. Like, do you really want your child to grow up without the father being present much?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think one thing that's important for me now is to be with someone who has a certain degree of emotional maturity, who doesn't have to be perfect, but just understands that, like, or have a willingness to work on themselves and to help, obviously, me out with any issues which I have. Because I'm certainly, I don't think I've been the easiest person to date. More
Nobody's
so,
easy.
yeah, more so just
I
because
don't think anyone's easy.
whenever it came to like expressing feelings or emotions or having to, I don't know, have uncomfortable conversations, I would just be like, okay, I'm out of it. And I was like, I just didn't want to deal with it. But you can't have a relationship like that if you want it to work.
It's really unfortunate because like that's very common for men. Like men don't talk about emotions. It's weak. It's not very alpha. You just toughen up, pick it up, and you keep going. And I think for the most part, I can understand that thought process because as a man, you should always show resilience. But that doesn't mean you can't be vulnerable and you can't understand yourself, right? Like, because if you want to be better for the end goal of your family and the next generation, you want to be able to communicate. A big part of communicating is, how do you communicate with yourself? How do you understand yourself? Right. And if men aren't taking the time to do that, there's that void and that gap between them and their partner, or when the intruder, the baby, comes in. Right. Like, I hear this so many times. Once the baby comes in, the woman goes in her own world. The man feels like he's been isolated. And it's like, dude, you isolated yourself. Like, because you couldn't, like, involve yourself in those moments. Like, there needed to be more depth between you and your partner before you brought that little creature into this world. And so a lot of men will look at that baby as an intruder, as like, now she's busy with the baby and I'm on the sideline. You don't have to be on the sideline. Actually, you could be just as involved and look at the baby as a project that you both did, not you just handed off the baton. And I think that's what a lot of issues are coming to, is that, you know, these men are living off of these subconscious beliefs from their great grandfathers, even, that this is just a man. Like, you pay the bills, you come home, there's food on the table, and there's, again, I don't want to sound like an activist, an active feminism, like activist. Oh my God, I'm getting mixed up. I'm not a modern feminist, is all I have to say. I believe in the powers and the works of feminism early on, when it actually earned us something, but I think where it's going today is really out of control. But there's this narrative that you inherited, and every single generation before you, about what it meant to be a dad or a husband. And if you don't really check that in line and make sure it aligns with the partner that you're with, then why do you think there's going to be issues? Outdated programming. Outdated. Maybe she's evolved so much more that her generational way of viewing parenting is not affecting her. Like, for me, there's so many traditions on how a household should be raised. I'm like, oh, I know I'm not going to do this the way my mom did. I'm not going to do this the way my dad did. Like, I've taken the time to think about those things. So you as well have to take the time to think about those aspects, and then get to a level of depth with your partner where you discuss all these things. So many relationships today start off on, oh, you make me feel good. Hee hee. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, like, there's butterflies in the air. There's, you're so happy to explore this new thing. It's exotic, right? I would not have gotten married if I did not have all the hard conversations early on.
Yeah.
It did not feel beautiful in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for people to understand that the right decision doesn't always feel right. Like, sometimes you got to stick through the thick, and everyone thinks that the thick is coming at the end of the relationship. If you bring it early on and you literally pick each other apart, what are your values? How do you expect this? How do you expect that? If the person's going to run away from that conversation, do you think they were ready for the relationship?
Yeah.
Like, you will see discomfort in them, but you're going to help work them through it, and you're going to tell them why you're asking these questions. But that should be the first step, and that's not taught to us. Have the hard conversations in the beginning, so you're not wasting yourself, you're wasting your time and your life being attached to a human being. You're both wasting each other's lifetime. Of course, is there a lesson you can gain from the relationship? Yes. Like, truly, is anything a waste? No, if you grasp a lesson. But you could really save yourself the time and get what you want if you're a lot more intentional and a lot more strategic.
Yeah, that's something I never did. I never started off a relationship just saying, okay, so these are the things that I like. These are the things that I don't like in a partner. This is what I want from the relationship. Like, it's
You know what
just,
happens when you're 40? Those conversations forcefully come out.
yeah.
Forcefully.
I've started to notice it more now.
Yeah, it comes out. Like, you're either going to do it early on. Again, preventative is better than cure. Take this, like, formula and apply it to everything in your life. Am I going to wait till I absolutely have to? Or am I going to do it early on and get what I want sooner? Right? Your subconscious is running its own program. You, as the captain, need to say, this is what I'm doing now. And so you'll find a lot of, like, older men, either because their bank account's been depleted, or because, that's it. Like, the energy is not there. The reserve is not there. They're actually, like, wanting to settle down. They're forcefully having to, like, bring up these topics. Women are more likely to do it than men. Men get there later on. Just, again, not generalizing everyone, but as a whole, men tend to wait because their communication skills aren't that great. Their emotional ability to have these conversations has not been trained. And so I think if you're a guy, especially if you didn't have sisters. Especially.
Yes. Well, that's me. I was grown up in a very masculine household. I feel like if I'd learned these things, or I don't know, being around the right people to discuss it, it would have helped me out massively. Because men aren't really trained for it, I don't feel. Like it's almost like we are being programmed by social media about relationships and how they should work.
You are, and it's all like bite-sized content that's like irrelevant. Like you have opposing views all the time that you've never even like actually concluded an opinion. If you think about it, if you're upset one day at your partner and you go on social media and you're like, oh, I was right, then you get like these bite-sized information just feeding your ego. And then on another day, you're getting opposing views. So you're soaking in on either way, you're getting two perspectives. You're right and you're wrong. But what did you actually get out of that?
Yeah.
What opinion did you form? It's never ever effective enough for us to understand the topic at hand because it's bite-sized content. Like, people aren't having to grasp a chain of thought long enough. Like we've stopped reading. So if you've stopped reading, you stop being able to think and write properly. Like nobody can open up a book right now and like actually read 10 pages without putting it down. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
That is terrifying. So when you ask yourself, why can't I articulate my thoughts? How good are you at even holding a focus on a chain of thought? Because that's what a book does. You're with the author, you take their chain of thought and you carry it to the end of the book. But when you're on social media and social media is saying, hey, you don't got to focus on anything. Just come here, have some fun, laugh, cry about some cats, and then be on your way tonight. And I was like, dude, my life is a roller coaster because I go on social media, I get this news, either fabricated or real. I get entertained. I find some useful education videos. I save a lot of DIY videos, like do-it-yourself videos that I will never do. And then I cry over cats. So like
Yeah, I bet your feed is full of cats.
Emotional roller coaster. And at the end of the day, what did I really accomplish?
Yeah.
And so if you're finding yourself there, I think the best thing you could do is find yourself. You can use social media, use it as a tool, but the saddest thing in life is actually not achieving your goals. That's not the saddest part. I used to always say, like, not knowing your potential. The saddest part of life is not actually knowing who you are. Living life so cluelessly, so distracted that you don't even realize that your whole life you were just on autopilot mode.
Yeah.
You never even got to get to know yourself. I think that is the saddest part of life. And I've decided when I step back, it was a hard journey I didn't even get to talk to you about, but I want to talk about that because the transition is very hard. I decided that who I am and the relationship I want to have with myself has to always come before any type of success or work, because I was redefining success. Like, success to me isn't I run 3 companies. I don't care about titles. Like, I can care less if you introduced me as an entrepreneur or you introduced me as Heba Ali or you introduced me as an athlete. It really does not matter to me. It doesn't, because I know who I am. Like, I don't need the world to know this title of me. And so going through that journey, I was just like, it's insane how you have this identity online and you feel like you need to protect it, or you feel like this guilt of, again, having a duty to your community. And I was like, wait, before I can be the leader to the world, I have to be the leader to myself. And it's very easy to do that. If you take a baby picture of yourself right now and you look at that little boy and you have some empathy with that little boy, and then you congratulate him for all that he's done and the challenges he's gone through, would you not be a better mother, father to that child? Right? So instead of constantly looking out into the world saying, I need to figure this out, did you forget that you're actually really good at being a mentor to yourself? But you have to tap into that. And so I would look at my baby pictures and I would actually like cry. Like, I would be really sad. I'm like, why do I cry every time I look at my baby pictures? Like, most people would be like, that's cute. And I remember my partner was next to me and I was showing him my baby pictures and I just started crying. And he's like, why are you crying? Like, I'm like, I think I'm crying because like I never gave her the credit. Like, I think I was either in survival mode for so much of my life, and I think I tried to do so much for other people that I never like paid attention. I was like, yo, you did a good job. Like, you've done so much in your life. And once I tapped into that, I became game over. Like, I was no longer going to let work come before my well-being. And I'm not talking about my well-being. Like, I work out and I eat well and I sleep well. I mean, making my conscious decisions on what sits right for my soul and my heart first. That means whatever deal I have to lose with money, I'm losing it. And I think that's kept me very rooted within myself and my belief with God. Because if you don't have that, you are going to follow this godless, demonic society, is what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so it made me so much closer to myself, so much more rooted, because I paid attention to the little child in me. And the little child in you is so powerful that you find a partner where that inner child can come back to life. that's when you're like, I'm so happy I want to marry you, because that inner child comes back to life. So pay attention, because all the answers are within you. The healing can happen within you. And taking the time offline made me realize how I've been, even when I got my dream home, like I don't post anything on my of my life online. I don't need to bloat. I don't need to load nothing. But when I got my dream home, I just moved in by myself and I showered, I started crying. I've never cried like this in my life. And I was like, holy shit. Like, at what point are you going to realize that you're not just living the dream that you wanted? You're beyond that. And so what are you chasing? Like, Heba, what are you chasing in this world? And what is the rush? And that's why I was like, you know what? Let me pull back to focus on myself, to regroup, to not lose touch of reality, to get my feet on ground, because what is it exactly I'm chasing?
What are your values now?
I think my values are very much rooted in being like, number one, I have to be a woman that follows God's word. And I was always very conscientious of that, but I don't think I was really putting much, like I wasn't a practicing Muslim. I was Muslim by default. I wasn't practicing. So I think now putting in more effort into that.
By the way, you're doing Ramadan right now, and you're
Yeah.
currently doing this fasted.
Yeah, I didn't
No
even know.
food, no water. So I respect that.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
I've gone like, just, I don't know how long it's been, but out of respect, I'm not drinking anything during this podcast.
Oh, you totally can.
Yeah, I know, but I don't like
Can
doing
we
that.
get him some water?
No.
This is okay. As soon as I walked in here, your buddy was telling me about these amazing snacks he was eating. And I was like, by the way, he's like, yo, these are so good. And he was just going into the flavor details. And I'm like, by the way, I'm fasting. I can't have any.
No, I like, cause I've done it before in the past where I've even done like training videos with people who are fasting. And I'm like, I don't want to.
No, it's we really appreciate that out of respect.
Exactly so.
We really do. It's very nice. But a message to the people, this is not about just like, you don't have to be a Muslim to take away from what I'm going to say. Anything is easy when there's faith. Absolutely anything. Like, why do we naturally get this talent to stop drinking water, to stop eating, to stop even carrying out the habits that we've had that don't serve us? Like, we're not just fasting from food and water, what we look at, what we say, and what we hear. So it's fasting of everything. It's actually being who you're supposed to be if you're following your religion. It's a good civilian, a good person. And so anything that has faith is easy to accomplish. So that's why I always say, believe in yourself. Every NFL player or any person we hear about, I believed in myself, or somebody believed in me. And that's why with
You said those that have the most faith have the most success.
Yeah. And so, like, if you can't find that faith in yourself, then find the faith in God.
Yeah.
Because then you find an infinite amount of power, and you have a purpose to live. Like, a lot of people are lost in the world, like absolutely lost. They have no values. So back to my values, like, integrity has always been one of those things. Like, I literally will vomit at myself if I ever do something that's not right. And I think that's my conscientiousness has always been at an all-time high, doing things with integrity, community, love at the core of everything. Even as a leader, I don't think I was always the best leader when it comes to like being a CEO. And I think also taking this time, I'm becoming better in all ways, right? Like, for the team that I will have to manage, being a leader is not an easy thing. There needs to be compassion. There needs to be empathy. There needs to be amazing communication. Like, they need to be your friends before they're your employees. And what happens with work is things get serious, and errors happen, loss of money. And then it's easy to say, whose fault was this? Like, love needs to be at the core of everything. At the end of the day, that person's not just your employee. It's a friend, it's somebody's son, or it's somebody's dad, or it's somebody's mother. And I think when we always have that empathy and love, we have a successful community within our workspace, within our families, within our communities. So that's been very big for me. And I've been showing up for my friends and family more because of that, because it's very important. What else is my values? I mean, I think it's all the things you always hear, but I think it's being
honest, loyalty.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. I mean, honesty more with myself, right? Like, I'm honest with the world, but how honest am I with myself? I've discovered so much about myself in that transition offline, because, oh my God, I was telling people to talk positively to themselves, but my self-talk was awful. Awful. And I'm like, yo, be real with yourself. Like, why are you this hard on yourself? Like, you needed to be when you were a horrible athlete, no money in your account, you needed something to prove to yourself. So at that time, the criticism was real. right? Like I really was a nobody. Like, and I really did suck at sports. So it's great. But now, Heba, you don't suck at sports. You are successful. Like, what is this negative self-talk coming from?
Mhm.
So the honesty within myself is where it needs to be exercised. I am, if anything, a little too honest with other people. I'm way too blunt. Like sometimes.
Yeah, but that's refreshing though.
Yeah. Like
When somebody, even if it's like a woman, if they're like brutally honest to me, where it's like probably a little bit offensive, I'm like, whoa.
I like that.
But I like it though, because it's like, okay, she's not afraid to tell it how it is.
Yeah.
And that is rare these days, I think.
Yeah. Because the thing is, we want people that make us feel good, but like, you got to define everything in your life. Define success and define love. Don't let the world do that for you. But at the same time, like the person that I'm with, if they're not saying some things to make me feel uncomfortable, how much do they love me?
Mhm.
Right? I don't want the person who's gonna sugarcoat things. Like, yeah, I want to be babied for sure. I want you to like pamper me, make me feel like great. But I also want the person that's gonna hold me accountable when I need to be held accountable and who's gonna point out my flaws and my weaknesses. That is like a better version of a parent because that is someone who can communicate to you like love in the way that you need, like within physical touch or whatever your love language is. That obviously you can't get from a parent, but like
Did you do the test?
I did. Yeah.
What'd it say?
Mine is physical touch and attributions.
Mine's acts of service.
Acts of service. I said attribution. So it's acts of service.
That's a great test to do.
Yeah, it's really.
I was
good.
actually like, I was borderline pressured to do it because this person had done it and they were like, I need to know what yours is. I think they just wanted to know what, like.
Why would you not want to know, Mike? Like, why would you not want to know what that is?
I don't know, because I just thought it was like, Rose, I don't need to know this. So anyway, I did it and I was like, wow, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So you can do this test online, or you can actually pay a little bit more to get a very in-depth version of it, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, this makes so much sense. And it like, if you can just give that to your partner,
Mm-hmm.
they will understand you so much more and like stop, maybe not wasting their time, but doing these things which aren't going to like have an effect that you want.
You're pouring into a cup, but you're not pouring into the cup that I need.
Yeah,
right?
like don't shower me with compliments because I don't care about the compliments.
Exactly.
Like just do something which is going to make my life easier or is going to help me out in a certain way.
I think that's a huge value of women and like a man's world is being able to like soften him in those areas and to be able to help him with those interpersonal skills because they've been taught to be tough in the world, right? And they see things and so they wear that persona. The persona is the social mask we wear, and that's totally fine. But if you get lost in that, then that becomes your identity. So you should wear that mask when you're out in the business world. But when you come home, like you should be able to, have the skills you need to like remove the persona, right? Yeah. Like, okay, out there it's cutthroat. Guys have to be a certain way. Absolutely, go put the persona on. But when you come home, you're the father, the husband. You're with her, and there's a completely different way. And that test was amazing, honestly.
Yeah, because even
imagine telling someone you don't love me, you don't love me, but you don't love me. You don't show me that you love me.
Yeah,
and you're like, but what are you talking about? I buy you stuff all the time.
Yeah,
it's like, but I don't want you to buy me stuff. I just want you to hug me.
It's so important because even like I would, when I was younger, approach it as a way of how I would like certain things. So if I like to be treated a certain way, I would do the same thing to them, but it doesn't hit the same because they don't really care about that. Like what they care about is the touch or the words of affection. Like that's what's going to resonate with them. But because I didn't understand how each person can be different, there was always these problems, and they always had that doubt. They're like, but like you've not said you love me, or you've not done this. But I'm like, yeah, but I've just gone and done this for you.
And see what that ends up doing is it makes you feel like you weren't appreciated. So then you stop trying.
Yeah.
And then, the relationship just starts to diverge because you feel like your love was not noticed or it was taken advantage of, or there wasn't any gratitude or appreciation, which for the record, I think every relationship, like love is not enough. And the respect is obviously the utmost important thing for a man, but it definitely is for a woman. Right. And lately I've been just seeing this entire movement. I mean, not to change the topic, but like this entire movement where, there seems to be like a war between men and women.
Yes.
And I totally am just there like, so disgusted. And like I told you, I'm a divergent thinker. So I'm willing to look at multiple perspectives. I'm willing to be in the man's shoe, the woman's shoe that has the kids, who's been through the divorce, who, like, I try so hard to understand how we got here. And
there's way more content which is being pumped out there, which is dividing men and women, as opposed to actually bringing them together and offering. There's no solutions.
Godless, demonic people that want to separate us. And I think this is why community is very important. Education is very important. This whole like movement of women empowerment. Even I was just in Saudi Arabia talking at that event for the Riyadh Active, and it was a women empowerment like fitness forum. And I like got on the stage and like, to say that we need women empowerment is counterintuitive to like that we are already powerful. Like, is there anything more powerful than conceiving new life? Is there anything more powerful than that? No, there isn't. So why are we women empowering women rather than just telling them that they have power? Like, you don't need to do anything to prove that power. Like, you conceive human life. Like, to bring life to life is insane. Anything more powerful than that is probably just like God's word. But like, as human beings, there's nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah.
So women are being told that they have to be more empowering. And to be honest with you, who's benefiting from this, right? Like, there are definitely issues between men and women. But again, you have to step out of the drama and say, what is happening here? If a government can take taxes from two working couples, who benefits? Who benefits? When there's so many tactics. Like, if you open your eyes, it's all in front of you. They don't want us to get along, whether it's on a religious point of view, whether it's on a love point of view, a friendship point of view. Like, everything pushed out is dividing us because it's easier to conquer a weaker community. It's so much easier. And so I'm like, how can we get to a point where like we are understanding each other's nature, right? Because I'll tell you right now, as a woman, the reason why the manipulation is happening and they believe in this patriarchy and like they're being used and like there's this like slave to master relationship with women. I really think that they're doing that because women feel unheard too. Like, men need respect in a relationship so they can keep providing and they could feel noticed. Like, that's for men. They need that. Like, you should always appreciate him and like verbally tell him how much you respect him, and obviously with your actions. But for women, I think what happens is like this pre it's not a pre-assumption. What am I looking at? When you already expect something. What's the word? When you already expect something. I guess I could say when you already expect something to be done and you no longer appreciate it, then the other person, what's the word I'm looking for?
Expectation? It's another word.
An expectation. Yeah, I guess that's the word. Expectation.
It's not the word because we're still looking for it.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to get to, and hopefully while I'm explaining it, I could say it like, women love to cook and clean and take care of their partner. And I think that gets shifted when it's expected. You were right, expectation. When it's expected rather than appreciated. And so when you take a woman in that state who is already vulnerable and then you throw at her all this media that men take advantage and men hate women and they do it in the other way too. Women hate men and women are gold diggers. Like, where's that actually taking us? Can we validate those points? Absolutely. Because there's always going to be somebody in a certain circumstance that you could validate that point, whether the man was the abuser or in the man's situation, or the woman was the gold digger and stole all of his money. We can always find those like examples in society. But as a whole, what does that get us attacking each other? Are we understanding each other, or are we just like throwing rocks at each other? So I think it's really important for us, like, you might have some valid points or you might be able to understand someone's valid points, but be careful with how you shape your perception, because then that's going to affect your relationship.
Yeah. And
that's very hard to fix, right? And so I grew up always having that type of view because in the Arabic world, like, it's just more conserved. And I perceived that like conservatism as like too protective. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. And like, fast forward 15 years and it's absolutely what I love, right? Because I've emotionally matured and I've been able to understand other people's perspective. I've been able to heal my own wounds so that I'm not always offended by what somebody has to say. And so you end up complementing each other when you're able to listen to another person's needs and look at how the bigger picture works. But if you're still that same little girl that's offended and hurt because of whatever experience you went through, again, you're carrying that subconscious experience
Mhm.
with you your whole life. And we each, men and women, need to like look at us as complementing, because what is so, I can't curse on here and I don't curse anyway, but this whole boss girl era, right? Why do we think that we could put our foot on like men's necks who like literally built everything, like
Mhm.
the car we drive in, the roads, majority. Like, I mean, sure, if you want to say there's some female contractors, that's great. But we've done a lot. And women, on the other hand, have done a lot. We've conceived life. Like we've each been the backbone of our homes. And what I'm noticing is like family structures are being broken because on one end, social media is saying that person doesn't appreciate you. And on the other hand, saying that person's taking advantage of you. And it's putting seeds of doubt, and it's ruining what we should just recognize as like, that person's good at this and I'm good at this. And I'm going to help him be better there. And he's going to help me be better there. And so that's the logical way and the right way to be looking at the issue that we're dealing with. But then you have the men who say they want a certain thing but act a different way. And my advice is, because that's why women are changing, right? And I'm going to touch on this because it's really important. When I talk to women, or when I see them or observe them, they are changing their ways, either dressing more provocatively or going to certain places they usually don't go because, well, they had a breakup and then their ex, who said he wanted a housewife, was engaging in those types of women's, or looking at those type of women. And so in this scenario, I would say to the man, you have to be the leader of the house if you want it to be treated like the leader. Like, you can't say you want one thing and then act a certain way, because your woman's going to follow that. If you really are the leader and you want it to be treated like it, there's a lot of pressure on you to act right, not just for your partner, but for the kids to come. You're the not just provider, the leader, right? You can't double side and I'm a leader here, but I'm also not a leader here. And those are the double standards. And for the woman, I think what's important is, even if that man messes up, like, why would you ever meet him at his standards and lower your standard to now be more provocative, to be more seen? Like, there's no treasure that begs to be seen, right? Like, you have to work hard for that treasure.
Yeah.
People dig for mining. Like, you have to go to the bottom of water's depth to get pearls. Like, why? Because one person didn't appreciate you, are you changing your ways and lowering your standards because he was just at a low standard? Like, you just got the wrong quality and you misread him. Like, that's your mistake. You should probably own up to the fact that you just didn't pick the right partner, right? But we don't do that. We have a lot of ego. We have a lot of, well, he messed up and because he's doing that, I'm going to do this. You're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's an accountability to both people. If you want to be treated with so much respect and praise, and like you want to be the leader, act like one. And if you as the woman want the right man,
Stop showing yourself half naked.
yeah,
all over
like
social
some
media.
women aren't though, and they end up doing that, right?
Mhm.
But if you are a good woman and you're looking
I've
for
seen
that,
I've seen that change actually.
you've
I had
seen that, right?
an
And it's
ex,
because
actually an ex partner of mine who was she always used to always covered up,
Mhm.
like always. And then I've seen over the years, like, not that every now and then something might just pop up, and I'm like, oh, what's going on with it? And then she's like, this is not the same person who I was with. Like, what's happened there? Like, she's experienced something and changed her ways, but it doesn't look good.
see, the thing is, right? There is a war. Like, the social media is a very hostile environment, very hostile, chaos everywhere. And there's always a war for two things: your attention and your values and beliefs. Because if they could take your attention, they can sell you. And if they could sway your beliefs or values, they could sell you something. There's always a war for those two things. So you find people changing a lot. When you are a woman with conscientiousness, like myself, you're not going to show your body online to get more followers. You're not going to do it to get brand deals. You're definitely not going to go on OnlyFans. Like, way too much conscientiousness and values. You can't shift that in me. But what you're seeing in society is there's women who are like, oh, well, if I took that shortcut, well, if I just did that, well, if I just did that, then I can get what I want faster. It's like, well, if the devil lied to you and if the world was able to like switch your values, then you're going to pay the long-term consequence of that.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll just distract yourself so much that you just sold your soul and you don't care, right? But
I want all women to know this, that they can look sexy with their clothes on.
yeah. Do you know why they don't believe that?
Because, well, first of all, I think it's the guy's fault.
Thank you.
because the men are the ones that are they're rewarding the women by double tapping more or
Yeah.
engaging more.
Look at pornography.
Yeah.
How much money is being poured into that?
Mm-hmm.
How much? It's absolutely disgusting. So they think women are stupid. Women are so smart. We could be like FBI agents.
Mhm.
We are so wicked smart, and we observe, and we're so much better at reading facial expressions. There's so many studies. I wish we had 4 hours to talk because there's a lot I want to tell you. But women are so smart, and the men are always like, "But how did she know that? But how did she this? And you're such a detective." No, God gave us this like intuition and this ability to
Yeah,
read.
they know stuff. I made the mistakes of thinking I can get away with certain things, but I can't. Like if I'm with a smart woman, I can't get away with shit.
And that's good. It's for your benefit, right?
Yeah.
And so women are very good at these things. And so what happens is we learn through our observation, right? So if we don't take people for what they say, although in the beginning we might fall for a man because of what he says, not what he does, then you get your heart broken a couple of times. And then you realize I can't fall in love with what a guy says. I have
Yeah.
to fall in love with who he is and what
Actions.
he does.
Yeah.
And so when we see that, and this is where women fall, is you're looking in the wrong area. If you're looking at the man who's following that list, if you're looking at the man who's interested in those things and he's not walking with his gaze down, which all of our religious text tells us to do, same for women, then you're just looking in the wrong place. Like, and you can't judge all men for that, right? Like, first of all, you can't be that type of bait. If you're the bait, you're not even going to find the man
Mhm.
that you're looking for because you're doing what you don't like. But if you are the conservative type and you see the man or the men doing that, then you're just not in the right pool. You need to take yourself into a different environment. And it could be really tough in today's age because everyone's on social media, but I swear to God, they are there. Like the options are there. We're just not looking there. Same as job opportunities. The world is so quick to tell you, you have to be online to be relevant. You have to have an online store. Why are you letting the world tell you like what success is?
Mhm.
There's so many, again, the girl I was talking to in the beauty store who let go of that big job opportunity for a fashion week that she used to do the makeup artist. She's like, you know what's crazy? I ended up finding like 5 more opportunities on ground that have made me significantly happier. Like maybe I don't get paid exactly the same amount, but I'm so happy. I have the privacy to my life. I don't have to constantly be on. I don't have to be on social media. And that's what I want people to know is like, don't think that social media is everything because
Yeah.
it's definitely not. And there's way more on ground that we're not paying attention to. Opportunity will always surround us.
Have you noticed that by pulling yourself away, everything has still been okay with the businesses? Like it
So,
hasn't been too heavily reliant upon you having a presence online. Because you had the clothing,
yeah, so
still doing any fitness coaching related stuff.
yeah, so I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like the fitness coaching stuff, we onboarded a nutritionist and other people to help in that realm because it would be nearly impossible for me
Yeah.
to train thousands of people. But also my curriculum is so different than just any personal trainer. And so if you enroll with EvolveNation, the programs aren't just do this workout, which most of the time they're taking you through a series of training styles that mimic the hybrid training, right? You're getting 100-page psychology curriculum. And what I've realized is, and I think this is really important for business, is ask for the market value you deserve,
Mhm.
right? I was doing a monthly service of getting a brand new ebook every single month, new videos, new programs. And I think I definitely overextended myself. And
It's a lot of content.
I undercut myself because I wanted to be fair to the market and I wanted to fit in with the market. And it was still like $50 a month. So, and it was doing so well, but it was so time inducive. And like I said, I'm a conscientious person. So I like to do my work and I like to do it very just and very thoroughly. So I was writing every ebook. Imagine now as a coach, you know what that means.
Yeah.
70 pages, designing it, filming the content.
Every month.
Every single month and connecting with the community. And you're like basically their life coach because every Saturday you had a live with them. And I did all of this at the rate of $50 a month. And when I did my Evolve Challenge, which was that concept way more extensively, like that was a 120-page book that I would each week we would sit into in like kind of like a live setting and I would explain these concepts of what does emotional regulation mean and what is the primitive mind and how are habits formed and how can you change habits.
And that is the art of the consistency which is required. Like nobody goes into the psychology and mentality that's needed to actually stick to a plan and get the results you want.
Absolutely. But then I realized that I had the great idea, wrong model.
Yeah.
right? Like I simply cannot charge the rate that I'm charging for a course,
Yeah.
right? Like how much did I pay in college for that? Obviously people won't pay that, but you have to know, like, and I think you should just go based off the hours. You have to know what the
Yeah.
cost and the value of that is. But so that's EvolveNation. It's always been like a mindset and movement aspect to it. And then the clothing. So again, everything is so much on me because I pour my heart into my work. And if I don't pour my heart into it, I just don't care. Then why am I doing it? So with the clothing, I'm also the designer. I take the actual pattern draft into graphics, into tech packs, into patterns, into graphics, into the actual garment. And then I'm also doing the marketing strategy. So I was doing it all, Mike. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was that, when they say like small businesses don't grow,
control freak.
Yeah, it could be a control freak aspect, but I also think that I was the designer.
Yeah.
So if anything went wrong with the design or anything, it was always falling back on me. And it's an extension of who I am. So if I'm going to speak on excellence, my clothing should be excellence. And so where EVLV is still insanely amazing. Like I love EVLV. It's my baby. It's like the physical product of what I preach. I don't do a gazillion drops because I simply cannot, supply that demand. And most people are like, oh my God, but why? You should get an investor. You should like hire on designers and do this. Then it lost the entire concept of why I did it. Like I would love for it to grow where maybe I can get another designer on board to help with some things, but I'm not looking to be the mega corporate brand. I like my niche. I'm happy with my art. I don't want to be commercialized as a brand like the whole world has been. Everything is commercialized.
That's very rare to have that mindset.
Like I'm super happy with what I have. And I've been on the side where I launched 4 collections in the year and I made stupid money. But then I reinvested it back into the brand. And then everything that comes at a cost, right? So there was a lot of like logistic stuff, like not enough inventory, and you have to always be involved in that field. Even when I hired operational managers and everything, like my team was growing so big, they're like, yeah, but you're the CEO. I'm like, can we hire a CEO? Because this is getting really stressful. And this is the glamour that I think a lot of people talk about. And, business is also too vague of a word. Like, what do you mean by you want to start a business, right? People should get really specific. I think before you ever decide to go into business, know thyself first. Who are you? What are your values? What are your non-negotiables? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? How social are you? How important is community to you? Because there are definitely a lot of seasons and quarters of isolation, and some people can't handle that. And some people, once they start there, say, no way in hell would I trade off my social life. Like I know my 2 sisters, big family oriented people. They couldn't survive 1 month in the life I lived. And I know that. And that's why I'm saying there's no life that's better than the other. I can't say that my life is better than yours just because I make more money or I've traveled to more countries. Like we're all unique in our own sense. That unique aspect contributes to society. So in my family, there's Heba, the workaholic. There's Ruba, my twin, who's very similar. So we'll just join us together. There's Dunya, who's the very, she's the soft one in the family. She's the one who's always there to listen to everyone's problem. She's always there to like also give that back. She shows up for my mom a lot. There's Bushra, who's always organizing the events for the family, keeping us together.
That's good. Need that.
There's Bashar, who's like the mechanic who fixes everyone's cars. And there's also Amar, who's more of like the science nerd of everything. And we always go to him when we have questions about our body and stuff like that. So do you see how like my family has a very interesting gene pool? Now imagine you had a whole family of entrepreneurs or a whole family of
Nobody
lawyers.
see each other.
No, not only not see each other, but now our problem solving options have been refined by a lot. Now we're all very different. So if we say we have this problem, each person can bring forward a solution that's going to be different than the other person. If you have 6 lawyers on the table, you're probably going to have 6 similar answers. So the main message here is be very authentic. Like, do not let the world think that because you don't have a Bugatti, a yacht, and you don't have all of the stuff that the world is portraying as happiness, even though if we are smart and we pay attention, Hollywood is the most depressed state in all of the US. do not be swayed by this. Like, even if you have less money, maybe you don't have the specific features that the world is trending, saying this is beautiful. Like, you are so unique, and you will find the right person for you. You will find the right opportunities. But the only way you will get there is if you start inward and you appreciate those unique traits and you build off of what's a natural inclination to you. You don't follow the trends. Right. And that's easy. Feel like, oh, that's easy for you to say because you have created your businesses online. Well, if it was so easy, I would still be doing it. But like, I've actually decided to stop and like kind of restart and realign and say, there's something that's more authentic that I need to go to rather than following what I've been following, which I feel like has been contaminated. Like, I feel like a lot of my work and the reason why I've been moving forward, not because I was so, she's from a place of creation. Actually, I think it was a place of survival. And I never want to be in that place. Like, I needed to be at one point in my life when I had no money and nothing to my name and I couldn't help my family. But I'm older now and I have a responsibility and a system here that I control. Like, this is our system. Our brain is so wicked smart and it consumes most of our calories. You should understand your system. If you can understand your system, dude, you can set anything you want in your life because perspective sets our life, right? Like, why can I say now that my perspective being offline is so much more positive than when I did it a year ago when I was in the experience? Because I changed my perspective. Was I able to do that a year ago? No, I couldn't. Like, it took time to change my perspective, to change myself. And so if the world is keeping us so busy and occupied that we don't have time to pick up a book and read. I swear, if people knew their power, if they knew how insane their brains are, you would not be chasing anything but that book, right? Like, TV, social media, it steals your attention. But the book, you have to give it your attention. And in return, it's a lot more rewarding than all of the nonsense you consume. And not to say, like, this podcast is amazing, Mike.
Well,
like, there's a lot of great media. And I just told you that I spend an hour and a half of my day commuting, listening to podcasts. That's called using media as a tool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're good at this. You're good at talking and you have a lot of value to offer. So I think there's a way for you to just efficiently create the content that needs to be created and it not take up too much of your time, and you just hire people to disperse it and post it.
You know what you just did?
What?
You just did exactly what a man does, right? And this is why I freaking love the differences between men and women. Like, we really should stop competing with each other or letting society or the world or these godless people who are controlling our media to make us turn against each other, because men are so special and so are women. Like, I just have an issue in my head that seems so much bigger than it is. It's so time demanding. And you're like, look, it's very simple.
No, because
And you're able, as a man, I'm not even kidding, you're able to pick out one area. A woman will think about 10 different branches of areas where you're saying, you're really good at this, so you should do this and then delegate this to these people. So you took an issue and was able to find a solution within a millisecond by observing one problem. But a woman, well, it's the time, and then I also have to do this, and then what if I have to do that, and then I also have like 4 hours dedicated. So we end up merging a lot of thoughts into one. And so that's interesting.
I don't think you need to be so heavily involved like you were before. Like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing all your stories. I'm like, holy shit, how are you doing so many stories?
Yeah.
The best thing is just post and ghost.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's what I was doing recently.
yeah. So do like create all the content that needs to be done. Get them, chop it up, get them posted, like to the point where you don't even need to be on your own account. It just goes out and it's done.
Yeah. You know,
Or somebody just follows you around and just,
yeah.
you have someone
I don't
who,
like that anymore. I'm being honest. Like, I never like that. I did that because I wanted to add value to my community and show them inside my life. But if you noticed, I was never the type to vlog my life. I was never the type to, I did a get ready with me like 2 times. And then I was like,
yeah, the vlogging is time consuming.
It's not just time consuming, is I don't want, like, that's just me and my principles and how I was, like, I guess raised and how I am and conservative. I don't think it's necessary for people to see my bedroom or my bathroom or like, there's certain things
to do that.
No, like, you know what I mean? Like, wake up, brushing their teeth and like all of this, like, people want that. I'm not even kidding. My sister-in-law.
You know, there's like the day in the life reels that people are making. If you knew how much time that actually takes to do, it's like, holy shit, this person has not got enough going on. Like, someone actually DM'd me and said, hey, you should make a reel like this guy because he gets loads of engagement. I'm like, I'm not spending half of my day filming these little clips to show everybody like what my fake day in the life is like.
What do you think is your most valuable asset?
Mine. Oh,
Like, what is your most valuable asset in life?
time.
Time,
Yeah.
right? So as you get older, right, hopefully you get really good at evaluating your life, looking at where your time is being spent, I guess, evaluating some ROIs, return on investments. And then you realize like your time can't be bought. And,
Yeah.
and if you're poor, you're the first one to say, for $1 million, I'll give up 20 years of my life. But I swear to you, when you reach the financial, am I talking too much?
I think we're doing like 2 hours.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think because you don't have it, you have your opinions about how large it is. But when you are in that journey and you have the opportunity to stop and assess, you realize that your time can't be bought.
Mhm.
And that's a huge factor when it comes to like, changing your course and what you decide to do and what you're willing to negotiate on and not. And for me, it's been like, it's a non-negotiable, like setting up cameras. First of
But
all,
that's
it's
the thing.
cringe. First of all, it's cringe as hell. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know how I would look at myself in the mirror that night. Like if I had to like wake up and turn off the lights and then
I think
turn the lights back on and then like
Yeah.
reverse to get my phone off the like
at the
off
very
the
least,
floor.
you should just come into a place like this where everything's set up, just chat for 2 hours and then just walk out
Yeah.
and done. Let
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
do what needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I just feel like you're too good to not be heard.
Oh, thank you. You know what's crazy? I've been told that since I was like 18. And I think there's something subconsciously that I don't have a fear of speaking. I love talking. Yeah, I don't have it. I think it's the great thing for me to do, but not the right time. Like there was a lot of things I feel like I had to experience. And right now, like also, as much as I'm ready to go out there and talk, like there's all these, I've been working on a lot and I can't wait to present it. Like from EVLV to EvolveNation, like I've been working on a lot, like on my own. Like I don't need to broadcast my progress, which I think a lot of people are telling you to do in businesses. Show the process, show the process. Sometimes things are a little too premature to like share and it can contaminate what you're creating. So like there's a creative process that you need to like actually protect. So I've been working on a lot and I think that it's just I trust in the right time. And maybe it's intuitive and I don't think it's gonna be so far ahead, but I'm paying myself the respect and rest I deserve. Like I have literally served everyone. Like I have worked so hard. I've added a lot of value. And I think right now it's just about, giving myself the rest that I need and the space to bring forth the better innovation, the creativity. I think it's very important for every creative.
Yeah.
But for you, when it comes to you and observing you, I swear, like you have had this consistent personality. Like you have this personality that's like, it's never changed. And you understand it just by reading your captions. Like since I was 18, I think following you till now, you still have that
I had to scale it back a little bit because I was like, oh man, you know what? It was when the world started getting more offended by everything. And I was like, people are just, they're not going to understand that I'm joking anymore. They're going to read into everything way too much.
Yeah.
But I want to bring it back though. I like
I think
the wild caption.
like, but that's the thing, right? I think that's the beauty of like having your own Instagram. Like people forget like your page is your page. Whoever's offended by it, it's like having your restaurant. If people don't like your food, then go to the next restaurant. Like, but that's an autonomy you have to have with your platform. And I think social media is great. It's great. It's nice to connect people. Like I wouldn't be having this talk with you. There's a lot of benefits to technology. Main takeaway is to use it as a tool, to always have your authenticity, to know your values and yourself, because this isn't something your parents teach you. This isn't something that anywhere in academics teaches you. There are a lot of subjects to be explored that could expand you beyond your even imagination. And of course, like be very conscious and conscientious, because the person who's conscientious, which is the person who wants to do something right, they go to sleep very comfortably at night, very comfortably. Like you don't have to think about their guilt if they did something right by someone. And then the conscious person is always aware of what they're doing in the world around them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll leave it on that note. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Mike.
We literally could just go on and on and on, but we are, I think, probably going to get kicked out of the studio.
Yeah, I know. And I had like a lot I want to talk about. So maybe next time we could talk about why we're so unfocused and why we're lonely in this lonely epidemic.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm sorry. Do you do those Did you just throw your eyes at me?
No, I was just
Wait.
like,
Oh wait, okay. So do you do those podcasts? I think I've seen you do it once where like they're not with you, but they're on webcam.
remote. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you were just with that guy. Ironically, I was at his retreat like 10 years ago. Dr.
Dr. Axe.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know, he
nice.
was like the founder of Ancient Nutrition or something.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at his retreat. But anyway, that's for another time. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Where can people find you?
Right now, maybe Instagram.
Nowhere, because you're not posting anything anymore.
You know, I think I'll be back soon, but right now I'm just really enjoying the state in which that I'm growing at.
Mhm.
So you guys can find me on YouTube and Instagram at EvolveNation.
Yeah. She'll be back with a bang.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Bye.